Hey everyone, and welcome to another stream and a live countdown to my next video, which will be coming out directly after this little stream here. And with me to talk about a little bit about that and then about whatever stuff we find interesting about entertainment and movies and stuff maybe, is joining me, of course, Script Doctor from Midnight's Edge and Tom Connor from Midnight's Edge. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
Doing good. And also, that Star Wars girl. How you
Hello.
doing?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
No problem. My pleasure. So I guess first I should just tell my viewers a little bit about the video. Right now, the current climate makes it pretty much like it would be Russian roulette to talk about anything sensitive. So this is a documentary. So if you're watching or hoping for some like really incendiary commentary or something, yeah, I'm not going to do the Russian roulette thing and get deleted because I don't think I have any goodwill with YouTube. They would delete me at the first chance they get, especially now. It's when they've already been deleting everyone. So, yes, it's a audiovisual experience that I've put together for you, and it's. I would suggest watching it on a big screen TV with in a dark room with the volume turned up high, basically, and you guys have seen some of it or most of it, depending on how much time you had. So I just wanted to hear if you had any comments on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I wish I had. I know Script Doctor did, and I don't know about you, Anna, but what I saw of it was amazing. It's, high quality and very informative along with entertaining. And, you were talking a little bit about the effects before we went live and stuff, which was really interesting. So I'm sure you'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was really cool what I saw so far, but I just feel bad I didn't get a chance to watch it all. Sorry.
No, but you at least watch some of it, so you know basically the gist of it. So that's cool. How about you, Anna?
I got about 75% through, but I wanted to save a little bit for once you air it on your channel.
Right. Cool.
But it was absolutely fantastic. When you told me it's like you have to, it's audio visual, so, you got to have some time to pay attention. I was like, all right, what is this? And then I clicked on it. I was like, ooh, I like this kind of stuff. And it looked great. Like what Tom brought up. Yeah. The effects are phenomenal. I was not expecting that. I was like, wow, this is really, really good.
Right. It's a good point that, you have to be relaxed and probably be in sit down and not have Twitter up and doing all sorts of things when you watch it, because it's not the fast-paced typical YouTube video. But my viewers have seen this before because I have done things like this in the past. So hopefully they know what they're getting into. How about you, Script Doctor?
I saw the whole thing and I really, really loved it because this is my jam. As we were like talking over DMs, it reminded me of like Carl Sagan's Cosmos, just like a modern take on it, like and different from the one that Seth MacFarlane produced a few years ago. But this one here, it was just cool, relaxing, very inspirational because just like with your Mars one you did prior, this new one here, reminded me of some information and also gave me some new information that I didn't know about to help inspire me for my own stuff. And I think that's the greatest thing you can put into a documentary when you're doing it with passion and
right.
And
That one really surprised me and made me all warm and fuzzy. That it inspired something in your work. That's so awesome. So yeah, I also want to tell my viewers that Patreon subscribe star supporters and channel members will get the soundtrack. So I'll be uploading that after the video is done. After we had the premiere of it. So later tonight, you'll be able to download the soundtrack from it. So there's that. Anyway, I guess that's pretty much covers what we needed to go through over that, unless you want to ask some questions about it or something.
Well, I was intrigued when you were talking about the special effects before the program. Did you want to talk a little bit about how those were achieved, or?
Well, like I said, I can't take credit for everything. It's about 30% of the stuff that I created, and 30% is stuff that I bought, and 30% is obviously footage of stuff, right? So about 30% is mine, and
like that, actual footage, right?
Yeah, there's actual footage, and then there's about 30% that I created of it.
Right.
So, well, not the footage, obviously, but that stuff is just Maya and After Effects, basically. It's
nice.
It's not anything.
Maya.
Yeah.
Maya put me through a lot of hell in college. I loathe it with a burning passion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So kudos to you.
Well, I mean, it's just the program that I got used to, that I've always used. So I know that there's a lot of other ones, but I don't know. Once you're stuck, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Everyone's got their favorite, and everyone's always trying to be like, "Hey, you should switch to this one." I'm like, well, I know this one. That's fine. Yeah. So
yeah.
That's the short of it, I guess.
Well, what inspired you to want to do the documentary in the first place?
I don't know. I just enjoyed doing the last one so much, and I've done documentaries over the years, every once in a while, and now that things are so fucked up that you can't even upload something, and everyone just gets banned. And I was like, yeah, all right, I enjoyed that so much, I'll make a new one, right? So, I mean, you guys, you have obviously less sensitive topics, which might not get you banned. But then again, you have all the copyright to deal with. So I don't know. How often do you get copyright claimed?
We avoid video at all costs if we can, because that's generally the case. I kind of know the rules on how to get around some of that. And then there's some companies that are just, they're not going to budge whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically it's tough. You use a lot more just clips that are shorter than so long, or definitely don't use anything from a trailer. Usually that's the first thing.
Right.
Other than that, if you can re-edit it in any way and keep it under 10 seconds or even 8 seconds, even better.
Mm-hmm.
If you can avoid any audio, or especially without any music in it, that's even better.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like in most cases for what we're doing, we generally don't have a problem unless it's something that's extensive. And I've never gotten a strike for anything ever as far as copyrights go, but one thing I did, and it wasn't on any of the Midnight's Edge channels, it was on another channel I uploaded, believe it or not, Seth MacFarlane's fan film from when he was a kid for Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever thinks they own the rights to that or whatever sent out a strike on it, which is really bad form.
Wow.
Because that's like a permanent mark on a channel, because you only get 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah.
And generally those are, to me, that'd be one thing if it was like a straight up commercial film and I got that strike, it'd be one thing I could understand. But it's like, I had no idea anybody owned this. And even if they did, what claim do they have to it unless they're Seth MacFarlane, I guess. That's where I was at. And it clearly wasn't them. And then just the strike of it is kind of lame. I mean, a claim is one thing, or a request to take it down is another. But no, as far as the main channel, very rarely. And generally when we fight them, they go through. The funny thing is, we've noticed lately, like our old music we used to use way back on the old videos,
Mm-hmm.
is for some reason, there's one track in there that Andre mixed that's been getting periodically claimed. So I don't know why, but luckily we've we switched to different music not too long after I came on board anyway. So
Right. It's probably like the musician didn't have that registered with PRO or something. And
probably not. Well, and usually the bots pick it up anyway, probably.
Right, but if it's not registered, then it wouldn't. But then, sometimes I guess they just register everything and then it enters the bot stream.
Right. And I'm not even, honestly, I don't even know where Andre got it to begin with. So I never bothered asking.
Right.
It was just a track of music he sent me back in the day. And then I just said to him, I think I asked if if it was, I probably had some conversation where I asked if it was copyright free or whatever. And he's like, I don't know, or something like that. And I'm like, well, in that case, I'll find something else. And
yeah,
we've found a few things that work so far, but I even commissioned a friend of mine to write a piece and it didn't work out. So I've been leery about having people write music for it, but I've thought about it.
Right. How about you, Anna? Do you use videos or do you also just keep it out?
Sometimes I do if it's with reactions, but those ones I'm very picky about which ones I'll use. And then if there's like an interview, then I'll clip it in. But I always make sure that it's changed enough to where I can get away with fair use.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the weird things about it is, so I did a reaction to like the Batwoman season 1 trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, YouTube thinks I own it. And so in the little copyright section on your channel, it shows me everywhere else where it is, and that I'm able to copyright all these other channels that have used it. It's the most bizarre thing ever. That shows you how broken, like I can go and copyright claim, like I think it's the CW, because for whatever reason it thinks I own the Batwoman.
You should do that. Strike your channel. Strike the CW.
I
channel.
wouldn't. You want to know why? It's funny.
I
I'd say, but you want to know why I wouldn't? Because that would stop. Because that's probably because they never did for that specific reason. So we could actually talk about it, which is it's fine. I like that idea.
Yeah. And obviously they have an army of lawyer to fight it. So it probably wouldn't
That's the
work.
last thing Anna needs to bring on herself.
Yeah.
I know. Then they'll watch my review of it and they'll be like, yeah, we're not too happy about this girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely give them some motivation to do so if you were to turn around and be mean like that. But no, that's a good thing. Because I know Warner Brothers is generally pretty cool about it. Sony and Disney, fairly decent about it. The rest of them, hit and miss.
I remember
Paramount and MGM are the worst.
I remember I don't know who it was now. Maybe it was Magog, who made like a review using the trailer material from The Mandalorian, and he just got constant claims and shit. So I don't know about Disney.
It depends. See, here's the thing with trailers, and this is and that's why I was kind of surprised CW didn't claim the trailer, because I was told directly from somebody at Warner Brothers, like, this is how I know the rules, is the best way to get around it is don't use trailer footage, period.
Okay.
Because all the trailers are generally watermarked for the specific reason that Anna's talking about, is you have like 20 of these channels or more actually, but like a lot of big ones, as far as like 20 big ones that will just turn around and that's all they do is upload trailers.
Mm-hmm.
So they usually do that for a reason. They're watermarked or they're claimed right away because of that. So that's what the guy said. Just avoid using trailer footage if you can. And then he's like, it might have been a girl, actually, to be honest with you. I don't know, to be honest. And then because it was all email correspondence, but then they're like, and also don't use more than 10, 15 seconds of a clip.
Right.
Because I had a review that the specific scenes I wanted to use in the review were, I was directing my critique towards, and then I wanted to show the examples, and I explained that to the person, and they're like, yeah, we understand. And they're like, but obviously you must use some trailer footage and whatever. And they worked with me and helped me get around it. But then after that, they told me, because they're like, obviously we can't do this for everybody, or it's not something you're going to get done all the time, but here's my tips in the future for not getting copyright claims. And that was one of the main ones, is no trailers, less than 10-second clips. If you can alter the clip in any way, great. And try to avoid scenes with music.
Yeah. Obviously music has been, that bot has been pretty accurate for years. Well, not accurate maybe, but pretty
a lot more sensitive,
very sensitive. And I mean, I've even had my voice claimed as some sort of rap song or something like. Yeah, this is.
That's strange.
We're claiming your voice because it's this rap song. Like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Obviously, it's a bot that just had a misfire, but that was weird.
It's got a vendetta against you.
Yeah. Well,
that I'm doomed. I'm gonna get him.
Hey, Magog.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, no problem. Got to have my buddy Magog here when I do little.
Gotcha.
Anyway, when I did that Picard video about the Picard series, I just took like the entire show and then put on a posterized time filter on it, so it switched stills every 10 seconds.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that worked fine. But I mean, obviously, it may be more boring to look at. But
I mean, the still images is probably fine enough. The thing is like even if you alter the picture, that doesn't always necessarily make a difference.
Mm-hmm. No,
I ran into that problem when I did a review of The Mandalorian when it first came out.
I think we were just talking about that.
Yeah. And even when I used like a still picture, I think it was like the first or second episode that had the Jawas. What's that big freaking rolling tank they have?
Oh, right. Yeah. The sandcrawler.
Yeah, the sandcrawler. I had like a still image of the sandcrawler and Disney still fucking flagged it.
That's strange that because MGM's the only one I've ever had do stills before, and I was like fighting that tooth and nail, and they still wouldn't drop it.
That's amazing. Like a still.
Yeah, I turned it black and white and even reversed it, and when it flagged it, it showed where it flagged, and it was like, "Would you like to cut this part out of your video?" And I'm like,
"Wow,
it's still that same image." Like, holy crap!
Because usually Disney is not that bad, unless Lucasfilm is different. But I mean, most people I've never heard too many problems with it. We don't use much of any footage unless it's older films. So.
And I don't usually do movie reviews and stuff. It's just not really my forte because I just dress like a wizard and make fun of people on the internet. But I wanted to do Mandalorian because it was actually good Star Wars.
Right.
And I still got flagged, like even after I changed it. It was crazy.
Well, if you notice with our videos, I generally won't use footage unless it's an older movie in a retrospective. So then we know it's not going to get like a bunch of negative attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I got a super chat from Karina Messina. Says, "Hey guys, super excited to see it. Adore you. Adore you too, honey. Thank you very much. That's so kind of you." And obviously, when we have the Star Wars girl here, we have to ask you what you think of the new ones, and especially Mandalorian, but I guess. Everything new.
Put a picture up of Baby Yoda and see what happens.
Oh, he's so cute. Well, how much time do you have? Because I mean, I can spend all day telling you just. Well, I heard you cuss, so I think it's okay. Just how much they're all just huge piles of absolute shit. And actually, my channel only exists because I went in and I saw The Last Jedi. And
wow.
I was livid. Like I thought I was getting punked. And I had tickets for the night that it came out and then the morning after. And I had a couple drinks before I went in the night of. So I was like, maybe I was just like more drunk than I thought. So I went in the next morning sober and it was even worse than I remembered. And I went on Facebook and I was like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. It's terrible. And I mean, everyone I've ever known my entire life knows that I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Like I went to the same high school as George Lucas, and when I graduated, I gave a speech all about Star Wars and how I'm like going to San Francisco to go to college so that way I can work at Lucasfilm. And so everyone was like, what on earth do you mean you didn't like a Star Wars movie? And then I did a video and I'm here today. Still hoping that Disney will get better, but does not look.
So you don't like The Mandalorian either?
Not really, no.
Wow. I thought most people liked that one, though.
A lot of people do. I just don't talk about it because so many people are sensitive about it. But I think it's really hard to get behind a show where the main character is a complete idiot and it's not a comedy. Or, you know? But that being said, I love Baby Yoda. He's so cute and he's so precious. And I love him.
Well, that is true. I don't know. I kind of like it though. I mean, it's kind of what Star Wars should be, just good popcorn fun. But I guess if you don't like it, you don't like it. It's simple as that.
Yeah, nobody should force you to like it.
No, of course not. Of course, if you don't like it, that's fine.
Well,
I
there's things about
I
it that I
thought
think are good, but
I
not
thought that.
everything.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it was just such a refreshing thing after the Last Jedi and what the fuck was even the last one's name?
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker, like that fucking hunk of shit. So I was like, oh, Mandalorian, it's not too bad.
I remember I watched The Last Jedi on an airplane flight from Dallas to LAX because I was going to VidCon that year.
How could they do that? People would be trying to jump out of the plane.
Yeah, and it was like a perfect length movie because it lasted pretty much the entire flight because it's only like a 2.5 hour flight from
they're using it
Dallas Fort Worth, and I was like, it made the flight feel so much longer. I got off that plane and I was like, I was on that plane for 100 goddamn hours. I fucking know it.
Oh, it's a lifetime, especially after the Leia Poppins scene, because up to that point, it's a little hit and miss. And then when you get to that scene is when it really just ramps up the stupid. Yeah. And you're just like, and you could tell, because like I could tell the feeling in the theater that I was in, which was fairly packed, just the mood changed at that moment because everybody was like, everything was ramping up, everything was going on, everybody's gasping and everything because here comes Kylo and he shot at his mom and her ship blows up and we all see Leia out there in space and you hear a bunch of people start to well up and start to sniffle and even myself started to get a little bit of the feels. Then all of a sudden she starts flying and you hear a bunch of what? Huh? And then like the whole room just went dead quiet, silence. Like the next 10-15 minutes through that whole scene, like everybody's just kind of like, you could tell just the mood in the room changed. It was
that happened. That happened to me, except for behind the silence, there was one asshole in the audience that went chimney, chimney, chimney.
Oh, that could at least cut the tension. I wish that had happened at mine.
That asshole was me.
Yeah,
or at least one person, or at least one person standing up and going, "What the fuck?"
I don't know. I just sort of lost it when Luke threw the lightsaber. That was just okay, whatever, dude.
Well, that I could live with at first, but it was like quickly becoming obvious because at first I'm like, okay, Luke's just fucking with her like Yoda would, and then when it became obvious that no, that's not the case, that's when I was just like, yeah. This is gone. This is done.
Yeah, I originally thought when I first saw it that he threw the lightsaber over his shoulder as if to say, bitch, being a Jedi ain't all about the lightsaber. Let me teach you about the Force. Right?
Yeah, I thought it was more symbolic than that.
Right, but then it turned out, no, it was just Rian Johnson just was bending everybody over a barrel.
Like Mr. Miyagi's like, karate's not all about fighting kind of thing. Yeah, you got to learn.
It's the challenge of the character, right? So you challenge their conviction. Why are they really wanting, this knowledge? And if they answer correctly, they get to teach, they get taught. And if they answer incorrectly, they are asked they're rejected. They're asked to go away. Yeah. And that's kind of like one of the coolest things about Empire Strikes Back and what I was hoping would be in The Last Jedi is basically, yes, this is all just an elaborate, this is Luke's method of messing with the potential student. But the other part too, that was always ambiguous to me is why is Rey there? Because she never expressed any want to be a Jedi.
Because Luke left a map that he didn't want anybody to find.
Yeah, but that's Leia's mission, not hers.
That's why you make maps.
Yeah, that's why you make maps. That makes
to a planet that's literally been removed from all other maps.
I thought it was going to be like a teaching moment, like Tony Stark and Spider-Man, where he was like, "I'm nothing without the suit," and he's just like, "If you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve it."
Exactly. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna like. But then he just started drinking blue titty milk, and I was just like, "Okay,
Well, here's another thing to just kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Anna.
I'm just saying green titty milk.
Yeah, it is
green.
green.
One is OG.
Blue is OG. You're right.
Right.
But no, to go against the whole kind of thing that Luke's a Mary Sue. Luke actually failed that little test with Yoda. Because if you
Got
when he breaks
pre-test for
character,
Yoda.
actually, all of them. But
Yeah.
he breaks character, and he's just like, dude, you just don't get it, dude. Because at that moment, he's just kind of like, this kid, I can't do nothing with him. He's too feisty, he's too old, and he's too much like his old man. I can't. No.
Luke was one of those kids that's like, you can't tell them that the pan is hot. You have to let them touch it and like get burned. That's the kind of learner he
Do
is.
that again, you never will.
No, yeah, Luke is the type of kid that whenever they do something, you as the parent have to say, "What did you learn?"
Got a super chat here from Aaron Chandler. Says Beltalowda. What am I missing?
That's from The Expanse.
Oh,
That's the slang they Belters use.
what is? I don't remember that. What does that mean?
It's like a negative derogatory term for people who come and visit the belt
Oh,
and try to be of the belt or something like that.
Like
Beltalowda.
tourists.
Yeah, Beltalowda. I hope that's what I'm pretty sure that's what Aaron's talking about there.
that must be it. Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah, so they often call one of the main characters of The Expanse Beltalowda because he's a cop,
Right.
and they see him as kind of a traitor to the belt,
Gotcha.
Right. Gotcha.
It's a good show. And when it comes to good sci-fi, The Expanse is probably the best on TV right now.
The Psycho Manga says Ray was a Mary Sue since episode 7, and some won't admit it. Not in these neck of the woods. You're in the right place here.
No, yeah, we all recognize that.
You're not going to get any resistance on that front. That was kind of my whole point I was making, is that, Luke was a very fallible character. He had a lot of issues, but he still rose above it all.
Yeah, I think it would have been funny if Yoda could see into the future, because there was that whole scene where Luke saw his friends in pain, right? And Yoda was like, "It is the future, you see." I would have laughed my ass off if he was leaving and getting into his X-Wing, and Yoda was like, "Do you need a hand?"
Now, here's something I could never understand, and my dumbass never thought to turn on the subtitles, and Anna might be able to answer this for me. Hey, Mr. H in the chat, I see you.
Hey,
when he says future, always, is it in motion, or is it always emotion? That was something I could never understand.
In motion.
In motion, okay. Because I could either or works, kind of.
Well, no, it's in motion, meaning the future is always changing. There's
Right,
always
okay, that's what I
these
thought.
different-
Right.
But also at the same time, if he's saying always future is emotion, that also kind of adds into what Anakin does, because all the stuff he keeps seeing is built on emotion. So that's where my confusion was always built in. I'm like, is he saying in motion or emotion? Yeah. Thank you.
It's
Frank
like
Oz
that.
does
Always
drop
in
the
motion it is.
yeah. Frank Oz does drop the diction a few times with Yoda, especially in Return of the Jedi when he's dying. The whole line where he's passed on what you have learned sounds more like that's all that you have learned, and it's like, what?
Yeah, and I got it in both senses. It makes sense. I couldn't understand the word. So
Yeah, I've never thought about that, but yeah, I guess it works both ways. I always interpreted as in motion.
Well, because that's kind of what Yoda was like when Anakin was seeing Padme all the time. He was that's kind of where I saw that from. That's what kind of confused me. And my dumb ass, like I said, never thought of just going to the Blu-ray and hitting subtitle and see. And I've got the novelization, I think, of Empire as well. But I'm just lazy in that sense.
Tom, I only watch Star Wars on VHS.
Well, I've got the 4K 88 and 83, and then I've got the Harmy editions of all the other ones too. But yeah, I don't have a VCR anymore, but I do have the old THX copies of the originals.
Right.
I have a rare triple DVD of Star Wars that comes with the theatrical versions as well as the remake.
Oh, you mean the Laserdisc grips? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like wow, it's got the theatrical, and that's why I bought it, because it had the theatricals.
Let us know in the chat, Mr. H, if you want to join or something.
I'll send him the link if you want. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Aaron Chandler's got a super chat. The more I see of Disney Star Wars, the more I love The Expanse. But the word you're talking about is Welwala.
Oh, that's right. Beltalowda is Belters. Wallace is the derogatory term. Sorry about that. Got them mixed up in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy I enjoyed The
dare you.
Expanse, but I don't remember that much of it. I haven't seen the new season yet. I'm waiting for it so I can binge it.
Did he push up his glasses while he was typing that? Like, well, you see, it's actually. Did he do like a villain behind glasses thing where he pushed them? I'm joking, Aaron. Thank you for correcting me.
Oh Lord, there's 3 kinds of nerds. Okay, there's that kind of nerd where like they put you're wrong. Actually, it's this in episode 6273, blah blah blah. And then there's the comic book store nerd, like worst movie ever. Then there's the ones like me, and I fall in the booger category. So the movies rock, but pussy's cool.
I can't talk about nerds because I fucking dress in a stupid costume and act a fool on the internet. So I can't really say anything because I dress like a fucking necromancer and talk to a dead bird. So
I guess there's 4 then.
That's
true. I forgot about that. Now there's the cosplayer.
Yeah, now I'm
fourth level. Holy shit.
Yeah, but I at least invented my own cosplay. I'm not copying anybody.
I know, I got you, but I never even thought of that being a new category for nerds. That's cool. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I built a whole new like magic shop on my land. It's filled with props and it looks really cool and everything. But I'm like standing in it and it's like a real little movie set, and I'm like, how fucking nerdy am I really? Like, am I going too far?
You live in a set, yeah. Well,
yeah.
There we go.
That's how I feel like with my office. Like here, I'll turn my camera on so you can see. It's like a set. You
just nerd central.
Right. You open the door and it's like from floor to ceiling, just Star Wars stuff.
When did you acquire the Star Wars aisle at Toys R Us? Like that's actually a story.
So it's a funny story. A lot of the stuff is mine, and then so when I went to college, I had left a bunch of.
No, I was just going to see if I could make that thing bigger.
Yeah,
and you can drag me.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Like drag and drop.
There we go.
There you go. I'm being reorganizing it, so ignore the total.
I'm the faceless boomer, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so when I went to college, I left a bunch of the stuff at my mom's house, and then she's like, "Oh, I was cleaning out your old room, and I just took a bunch of stuff to Goodwill." Meaning all of my Star Wars stuff except the stuff that I had with me and the few stuff that were at my father's house. So somebody was nice enough to send me, they're like all the packaged Star Wars action figures. Somebody sent me all of that, but then a bunch of the other stuff, was stuff I've saved or had with me.
It's not all Star Wars though. I see Bucky and Hannibal Lecter.
So those are my paintings. So I'm an artist, and so I show at like a Halloween convention, and then I also have an artist.
Whoa!
Did you paint those?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, go grab the Darth Maul one unless you got a picture you can just share, because I like that one a lot too. I've been thinking about the Chucky one too.
Holy shit!
Of course, I asked her to grab the one on the front.
Yeah, that was easier said than done.
But that one, I just thought she did a really good job. Yeah, it's a good one too.
Pennywise.
Oh wow!
But now, like the one that I really like, that Darth Maul one, she did really good.
Oh my god,
awesome!
It's nice.
Yeah, Ray Park. So I posted this on Instagram, and he liked it, and he messaged me to tell me it was awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's
like that's the type of thing I'd have as a poster for.
It's good enough that Disney would fucking copyright claim it.
Yeah,
they can't because I switched around the colors, and then whenever I post stuff, since it is on canvas, all you just up the levels and stuff so you can see it. So
yeah.
Can't.
I'm gonna go artist geek because I'm an artist too. Is it oil or acrylic?
Oil.
Okay, you went straight oil. Nice, very nice.
Yeah. I'm not an acrylic person, but
I'm more of a pen and ink charcoal guy personally, but that's just me.
I like charcoal too. It's messy, and then I really like color and messing with like different lightings and stuff. So that's why
I like it messy.
Well, there you go. This is my madness.
This is. I mean, is there a law that you have to have that kind of background when you're YouTuber that deals with media?
No, I think it's more so my boyfriend is a normie, and he's like, "Babe, this doesn't go with the house." And so I was like, okay, I'll just put it in my own little corner. So, yeah.
Because there's always,
We're switched.
I mean, it's just funny because everyone has that. Like, here's my video collection. But at least you have your own work there. So fucking kudos for that. That was amazing.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I like this office, it's computers. And then over here is like my desk where I paint and stuff. And then I do other stuff that I can't talk about so I don't get doxxed. But
right.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Very nice. Very nice.
Impressed.
Talking about porn.
Oh God, no.
It's Cecil porn.
Giant anime boobies.
And I'm the only one who buys it. So
I found interesting because I'm going through all my old stuff because I got to go through all the old crap that's out in the shop, and I found like a huge Tupperware bucket filled with freaking Spawn toys from when I was a kid. I've got all the damn Spawn toys, Spawn action figures, all Todd McFarlane action figures, every fucking one of them. I think I collected almost every one of them damn things.
I wonder if those are worth anything. I know the McFarlane figures are generally worth a little bit more than the average.
Well, the downside is because I was young, I pulled them out of the box and actually put them.
Well, even out of the box.
Yeah, but
Still.
I have some rare ones. I have like She Spawn, and she has like skulls on her boobs, and I have like 2 different versions of the clown, and I've got quite a few rare ones in there. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he did a lot of limited editions and stuff to where even if they're loose, they're still worth enough.
They might be. I might have to look them up. I might have to get with like a toy expert and be like, "What are these worth?" Because they still have all the little weapons with them and all that stuff. The only thing is the boxes because I pulled them out. I wanted to display them on a shelf when I was a kid.
Right. If not, look and see what they're going for on eBay, and then
exactly. Just check eBay. You find out pretty quick.
And if they're not there, then you're like, ooh, interesting.
Right. McFarlane had some freaking awesome toys, though. The detail.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like even his
new toy, his new Spawn campaign. I think it got over $1 million.
Yeah, because he re-released the original Spawn run, the original toys that came with a comic book, came with the first issue of Spawn, and he redid those to raise money for his movie or whatever, and it's like that thing did like $1 million.
Too bad the movie ain't too much like the original.
Yeah,
are they doing another movie? Is that what?
Yeah, they're doing a new one with Jamie Foxx is supposed to be Al Simmons.
Okay.
And I think Jeremy Renner is supposed to be Twitch.
Ugh, I hate him.
Anyway,
I've met him in real life. He is an asshole.
Really?
Yes.
Do tell.
So he again went. He grew up in the same town that I did, and so his niece was best friends with my sister, and this jerk didn't want to drive a few blocks to go pick up his niece and my sister from school. So all of the parents were losing their minds, me being the only one that could drive that was not at work or anything. I was at my water polo practice. I had to leave practice to go pick up these kids, to drive them a few blocks just because this jerk was like, I'm Jeremy Renner and I'm too famous to go pick up my niece and her friend from middle school. And it's like, nobody's going to notice you in the damn car. And did he say thank you? Absolutely not. He acted as if he did me a favor. And I'm like, I'm going to get chewed out I already got chewed out by my coach for leaving. I'm going to get chewed out again. And I have a tournament this weekend. He is an asshole.
Which is funny because I think Script knows him too.
Was he nice to you, Script?
He's like, yeah.
I never actually met him, but when I was a kid, I was one of these. I was doing an extra project with Chorus Entertainment, and a lot of the people that are actors there were in this movie called Senior Trip, and I got to meet a bunch of those cast members as a kid. And there's a whole bunch of other kids around there as well, but I spent most of my day hanging out with Tara Strong at the time. But yeah, Jeremy Renner was there, and he didn't really interact with many people.
I'll tell you this much: if you really want to get under his skin, Anna, tweet a clip of that movie at him, and he'll probably get.
He'll block me. Well, you know what's funny is one of my best friend's mom. She used to babysit him when he was a kid, and she said that he's just gotten worse with age because she said he was a huge brat back then too.
Oh,
so.
Wow. Anyway, I got a super chat here from Aaron Chandler. Says, I didn't want you guys to think I was calling you the enemy of my people. You are my people. Well, thank you, man. We accept you as our people too.
What do you mean, you people?
You people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, our people?
And then,
wait,
I have a Streamlabs with a question here. Star Wars girls, do you have any Grand Admiral Thrawn paintings? And here's some stimuli money for Undoom's amazing voice. Thank you very much, Anna.
So no, not yet. He is on my list. I have done a drawing of him, a few before, but so with Thrawn, it's a bit tricky because there's the EU Thrawn, and so he is described differently than what they portrayed in Rebels. So with the Mandalorian and Ahsoka, possibly having Thrawn, come in since they named him, I think I'm going to wait until that is done, so that way I actually have imagery, so I can paint it to be a little bit more realistic. So it is in the works. I'm just waiting on them.
Right.
Nice.
Right. That is it's pretty good to wait. They're probably going to bring him in.
Oh, they definitely are. And also, it's like, I also have to sell these things. So if I do a painting of Thrawn and then in like a year from now, they have like the official actor and the makeup and all that come out, nobody's going to know what the EU version of Thrawn is really. So I also have to think about marketability.
Well, Mickelson's brother's actually picking up heat.
I saw an article saying that it was confirmed, and then I went to go check the cited, and it was from some Star Wars podcast that has me blocked on Twitter. I'm like, this is your reference for like this article that, this is officially, Thrawn's been
That's why
cast?
I said picking up heat. That's why I didn't say confirmed.
So they're taking the guy who did the voice of Thrawn in Rebels and saying, yeah, we're just going to cast the actor again.
Well,
It's
I
not
think that would be
surprising.
great. Now after we had that conversation, since he is connected to Henry Cavill, and I would love to see him in play.
I love how she does like 6 degrees of Henry Cavill every time.
I have seen a certain amount of Henry Cavill on your
On my
Twitter.
Twitter?
Yeah.
All
I am sorry.
Various parts of Anna's reproductive organs have been destroyed because of Henry Cavill.
I remember first seeing Henry Cavill in the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yep.
With Jim Caviezel and what's his name from Memento?
Yeah, that one guy.
Guy Pearce. Yeah, Guy Pearce. And it was like that was Henry Cavill was Guy Pearce's son, or technically it was
He's Dantes' son.
Yeah, he was technically Dantes' son, but
he was a boy back then.
yeah, he was like a teenager in that movie. It's like, oh my god. But he hasn't changed.
He has gotten, men are like wine, they get better with age, and he is perfect temperament right now.
I like that he's kind of like nerdy and down to earth, like he loves video games, and like he like begged to play The Witcher because he just loved Geralt so much. Like he's like, please let me be Geralt. Like,
yeah, wasn't he like on talking about his new computer or something?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
That was an interesting laugh.
She enjoys those streams.
I enjoy those
Star Wars girl, please fix your mic. You're vibrating or something. They can get up in my headset. She's got the case of the vapors. We gotta change the subject.
Oh no, she'll keep talking about it all night if we let her.
Yeah, I can talk about him forever, but yeah, we probably should because now my face just turned bright red.
I have a celebrity story. Do you know who's not an asshole in real life?
Who?
Matt Damon.
Mm.
When I was in the military, I was in transportation in the Air Force, which means I did convoys downrange and stuff, right? So I drove convoys all over Iraq. But when I was back in my home station, I would just drive whatever they needed me to drive. Trucks, buses, forklifts, didn't matter, right? And one time they were filming a movie in London down in Heathrow called The Green Zone. It was like a war movie, with Matt Damon in it. Mm-hmm. And they had blocked off a section of Heathrow to turn it into Baghdad International Airport to shoot the film. So they had these big green screens up outside the windows so that they could green screen in a desert outside, and the whole terminal looked like, they switched all the signage out and made it look all, like Middle Eastern and all that stuff. And they wanted realistic background actors. So instead of hiring a bunch of extras, they literally came to the Air Force and the Army and were like, just send us people and you can walk around in the background while we're filming these scenes. So I had to bus, me and a bunch of the other VOps guys, we had to bus all these like Air Force and Army guys to Heathrow so that they could be in the background of this movie. And all these guys got to go in and be part of the movie. They got to be on the set, and I had to stay with my bus because I'm the driver.
Oh, no.
So there's like 6 of us that we couldn't go in and be a part of the movie because we had to stay with our buses, and that's the regulation. You can't leave a bus unattended. So it's a government vehicle. So I'm sitting there in my bus listening to the radio, waiting for these guys to get done filming inside, and it's taking hours, right? Well, Matt Damon apparently heard one of the staff sergeants over talking, saying, the guys out at the buses, they need lunch. I'm going to go get them lunch or whatever. All of a sudden, Matt Damon's just like, oh, there's guys not in here. He came out of Heathrow, walked across like 2 parking lots, and knocked on the door of my bus. And I opened up the door, and he was just like, how you doing? And I was like, oh, shit, it's Jason Bourne. And he laughed. he laughed. And I was like, do you need to take my vehicle, Jason Bourne? So I made Matt Damon laugh, and he shook my hand, and then he went on to the next bus and made other. But he took the time to come all the way out just to meet the guys who couldn't come in and be a part of the movie.
Are you in hot pursuit?
Awesome.
Yeah. That is awesome. How sweet.
So I got to meet quite a few celebrities in my job because I drive. I pick up, distinguished visitors who land at the bases and people doing USO shows, a lot of musicians. I got shit-faced drunk with Five Finger Death Punch in Germany. It was awesome. But the Matt Damon one will always stick with me because he actually took the time to come all the way out to the parking lot, and talk to the guys who were sitting in the buses just waiting,
That is awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That sounds like a thing also maybe Keanu Reeves would do.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
Keanu. Yeah,
Right.
Keanu's just like the sweetest man in Hollywood, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've told most of my good celebrity stories already, but
Not here.
Rips would probably dox him. But, my biggest one is when I got to hang out with Clint Howard.
Oh, that's... That dude seems like a trip, man.
Oh, dude, he is a fucking national treasure.
Is he nuts?
Oh, in the right sort of way.
Right, in the right sort of way.
So we're not talking Randy Quaid.
No.
Okay.
Down to earth.
Yeah, that's not what I was expecting.
Really cool guy. Like, okay, the story is a little long, but like it starts out, we were at the Star Trek convention. Not, they didn't have one this year, but the last year. Whoops. Dropping shit. And I was supposed to be getting a picture with him, and I missed my time with him, and I talked to one of the coordinators, and they're like, well, we'll talk to him and see if we can get him down here after one of the other photos. And I didn't know, but he didn't have any handlers or nothing, so they, he was nice enough to come down, and he did that. And Rob was with me, my co-host, and he had a Cheap Trick shirt on, and he's like, oh, I know those guys. He's like, oh, yeah, you were in the movie, with it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I just hung out with him like a couple weeks ago, though. He's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And I'm like, he's like, after we're getting the picture taken, he's like, the people were pulling him away, and he's like, oh, yeah, come by my booth later tomorrow, and I'll sign that for you and everything, and free of charge, no worries. So he pulled him out of the thing. So the next day I go over there with my picture, and I was with Jesse Miller this time, and we're sitting there just yakking for, like a good 20 minutes, better.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling us a couple little stories and stuff. And we had him sign a few pictures, and all he charged for was the pictures. He didn't charge for this. He's like, because other people come up with stuff and he just sign it for free. And, and he takes the time in between our conversation to talk to others, but all together, we were standing there for maybe an hour, but, we talk on and off for like, 10, 15 minutes in between other people coming up. And then after a bit there, Jesse's like, I'm going to ask him if he wants to go to lunch. I'm like, go for it. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, hey, Clint, you want to go get something to eat? He's like, I got to eat sometime.
What a cool guy.
And he goes, yeah, we'll take you upstairs. He's like, all right, cool. I just got to go drop my shit off in my room. So we're like for sure thinking he's just going to ditch us, right?
Mm-hmm.
because we walk up with him to the thing, and he goes upstairs, and we're waiting there for a few minutes. Sure shit, he comes back down. He's like, "All right, let's go." So we get in there, and we go to this one place, and we're all sitting at the table. Now it was like me, Rob, Mecca, Jesse, and shit, and we're sitting there. We're having lunch with Clint Howard. We sat there for a good hour almost, and then Vic Mignogna come in and said hi to us and stuff, and then after we're a bit there, Jesse gives me a look. I said, "What?" He goes, "I'm gonna go ask him." What are you asking? I'm like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, go for it." So hey, you want to go get high? He's like, "Hell yeah, I got a card." Next thing I know, we're sitting in my hotel room, which another long story was I ended up getting like this big, huge corner suite for like an extra $200 for the week. So I took it. Mm-hmm. And so we're all sitting up in this big, huge suite with Clint Howard, getting high as hell. He's telling us stories about everything from the days of Gentle Ben all the way up to Solo. And we're just talking about everything you could think of under the sun that he's been involved in. And it was fucking hilarious and great. He was just so awesome. And then it gets even better because like about 2.5, 3 hours into the hanging out, somebody from fucking the hotel comes and knocking at the door. And I thought it was Gary from Nerd Rock. So I just open on the door and let the guy comes in. And at first we're like, shit. Because we're like trying to wave the smoker because we're not supposed to be smoking in the hotel.
Light a candle. Somebody
no, and then he's just like, "Oh no, I'm just here for an inspection, not to bother you guys. Sorry to bother you." Blah blah blah. He comes in, he's talking this, that, and the other, and we all kind of chit chatted for a bit, and he left, and we're all just kind of sitting there trying to figure it out for a bit, and then a couple hours later, after Clint left after a bit because he had to go. He's like, "I'm getting tired. I got to go take a nap and stuff." And, whatnot. He's an old guy. It was like 6, 7 o'clock at night. He finally went home back to his apartment. Or his hotel room suite, yeah. And then so we're sitting there, and I'm like, you know what? Because we're all just like trying to figure out what the fuck that was all about. And because everybody's like, well, it couldn't have been because of the smoke, because the cops never showed up afterwards or nothing like that. I'm like, you know what it was, you guys? They're like, what? I'm like, there's cameras everywhere, right? He's like, yeah. Except for probably in the rooms. Well, or at least there's not supposed to be, right? Mm-hmm. I said, they watched Clint Howard walk upstairs with like 4 or 5 young people and hadn't come out of the room for about 4 hours. That's why that guy come up here.
Like, are they murdering?
They were just checking on. They were just checking on Clint Howard. That was it. They were just checking to make sure he was probably all right. I guarantee you.
Make sure he wasn't tied to a chair and gagged.
Yeah.
You're on the phone with Ron, be like, if you want to see your brother again.
Did they look at the body of a hooker in the box?
You better put me in Willow too.
I'm short enough, goddammit.
Yeah, he told us some cool shit about Ron. He told us a little bit about Solo and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you talk about Star Trek?
A little bit. Of course, I mean, with Star Trek convention.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Of course he did. And he talked about like the first time he was on the set and everything like that. And he said it was a lot of fun. And
how old was he then?
Oh, he was real young. Probably
Isn't he like 5? Yeah.
Yeah, and he was better before that. Well, yeah, because he was on Andy Griffith's show as well. He played the little kid that was one of Opie's friends. Mm-hmm. Who never really spoke, but he always had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever. He was always in a cowboy outfit and stuff.
Yeah. I loved it in like Waterboy when he was like, I'm not what people would call a handsome man.
That's the thing. Clint Howard has been in like 500 movies, I swear.
He's been in cartoon shows, man. He was in an episode of, I think, Animaniacs for a Pinky and the Brain skit where he's voicing the character from his Apollo 13 thing. And he voices it over to the other character. He's like, when I was a kid, I used to be cute. Now look at me. And then that's when the guy goes, dear God. And then everybody on Apollo 13 is like, wait, what's going on? Is something happening? They're like, no, we're good.
No, he's a really, really cool guy. Really cool guy.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah. That's such a good movie.
Well,
one of my favorites, too.
You can tell his dad really knew how to treat the kids because his dad was in showbiz, too. And that's probably why Ron and him turned out so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't go down the rat trap that a lot of child actors go down,
No, because he flat out said, like, my dad put our money away. and he would let us do some things, but he also taught us, take care of your money. You never know how long this is going to last,
Yeah.
Taught him to be fiscally sound. And I don't know if he's ever even had like true like managers or whatever the agency probably has, but I don't know if he's ever had like managers and handlers and stuff.
Right.
He seems like he could give a shit about that stuff. I mean, he talked about some politics and other things, but I'm not going to talk about that stuff just because, I don't think he wants everybody knowing his politics. But if you really want to know, it's not that hard to probably find out.
No, he's been on Lateral Crowder.
Yeah, I was going to say it's pretty obvious where
so it's pretty obvious, yeah.
Right.
So, but that's neither here nor there. I try to ignore politics from the celebrities when I watch movies, but sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes, like I'll be watching the Avengers and I'll be like, Mark Ruffalo, you motherfucker, like he's not Bruce Banner to me. He's just
like
Mark.
I wish they would all just keep it out of
I know, man.
Yeah.
I wish they'd be more like Keanu Reeves. Like, hey, where's Keanu Reeves politically?
Nobody
knows, nobody cares.
Politically,
well, look at what happened to Chris Pratt for trying to stay neutral.
Right, just because he's a little, a little bit more like conservative family value type of guy, that's a lot of assumptions. But they crucified the shit out of him.
They were jumping to assumptions that just because he's part of this church or he's a very, very religious individual, that he has something against gay people.
Yeah, that's an automatic assumption.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like, these people are going after certain people of whatever side on the other side. It's like, yeah, I'm sure these people fucking, breathed air and drink water too. Are you going to stop doing that?
Yeah.
Right?
Some of them would, but.
Well, water's disgusting, so I disavow.
Right. It depends on if you live in Flint.
You still need water to make soda, Annie.
Well, I don't really drink soda. I just drink meow.
Just don't use water in Michigan. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Got a Streamlabs here from Dragon in the West. Says some more money. Also, have you heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Yes, I think we've heard about it. I don't think we know the story. Right? Or do we? I
prefer to be surprised by my space wizards.
Yeah, now, I have never read any books about it anyhow. So
I think in the novel they actually cover what happened, ain't it?
Yes, I have read it. You haven't heard the Legend of Darth Plagueis the Wise, but that's actually my favorite prequel meme because it's like the perfect pickup line does not exist. And it's like, have you ever heard the Legend of Darth Plagueis the Wise? It works.
No. I got a better one. Can you watch Star Trek with me? Because I don't understand it, so I need you to explain all this.
Shut up, Tom.
Yeah, right.
I don't think everyone here knows the context of that, but
I know.
Bad on you, Tom.
I'm sorry. I gotta pick on you once in a great while, though.
That's true.
Wait until you discover Discovery.
You haven't seen any of that yet, have you?
No.
You watched some of it, but
well, okay. I watched it while I was painting, so I was not like actually watching it. And well, it's there. I glance at from time to time, but so it was from the Magical Bay of Pirates, and so the whole Klingon scene where they're speaking Klingon, and there was no subtitles or any of that, so I had no idea what was going on. I was like, Klingons doing Klingons. It is what it is. But when they got to the mirrored universe and her boyfriend started transforming into a Klingon, but he was a Klingon originally, or he was a human or something like that, I was like, what? I can't do this anymore.
I know. I had no idea what was going on with that character.
Yeah. I was watching Discovery while painting, I'd be like, well, I started off painting this portrait of a beautiful woman, but now I'm so angry it turned into Giger.
Yeah.
I just turned into an HR Giger painting.
Well, to be fair, he does paint, or he does draw, pretty female faces. It's just like very gruesome, very fast.
I was going to say, I don't even know if that's a fair representation.
It's dark and twisted.
I'm just saying the existentialism would have
It's more like allowing a 3-year-old to go wild and crazy with finger paints all over a Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just was the script to Discovery written in crayon?
I think so.
No, they ate the crayons and they wrote.
Guys are eating elbow glue on a stick while they're writing the fucking show.
Craft services.
They subside solely on a diet of lead paint and retard pills.
Oh God, their brain is an impressionist painting on fire. Like, why are you?
No, it's Discovery.
Everything is the motion.
There's
Everything.
definitely paint fumes circulating the writer's room. That's for sure.
There's definitely, yes.
Yeah. Holy shit.
And I didn't like Picard either. Undoomed was like, you got to watch Picard so we can talk about it on our next unprofessional stream. And I'm like, okay, Undoomed, I'll watch Picard. I got like half an episode in, and I was like, I've never wanted to punch a TV before. Until right now. Holy shit.
I really, yeah, I watched it, and it was bad.
That's an understatement. Don't you guys love how androids can do Vulcan mind melds?
I know, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
You can actually,
Don't you guys also like how the Romulans just didn't do anything for 14 years and blamed Picard, and how for whatever reason they're in charge of the Borg cube?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, just put them in charge of everything, you know.
this right here is a representation of Star Trek Discovery, or actually just Star Trek in general now.
Well, yeah, the left one is Star Trek, and then the right one is Star Trek Now.
Yeah.
Only at the turn of the 20th century and 21st century, like into that area, do you get restoration artists that cannot restore for crap.
Yeah.
and the Orville is the wall this painting's hanging on.
Pretty much.
Well, I mean, the Orville was someone
It's
competent
solid.
doing a restoration.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's solid. You can hang a painting on it. You know,
Yeah.
it's a good place to hang a foundation on. You know, but it also, I guess, it also didn't please all the people who wanted Star Trek to be Star Trek, though. Like, it's good to like the Orville, but it's also Seth MacFarlane's baby, and I like that he paid homage to the episodic nature of Star Trek, but at the same time, people who are fans of Star Trek want Star Trek back, you know?
Sure.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just so irritating because every time there's like a story arc show, I always end up missing a couple episodes, and then I'm like, where the fuck was I? I don't care. I'll never watch that thing again.
It don't really matter. The writers don't even pay attention to their own continuity. Script will tell you that much.
Yeah,
Sure.
they contradicted themselves within the same scene.
Yeah, I watched Picard long enough to be like, okay, 7 and 9 is supposed to come back, so I'll watch until she pops up. And then she popped up, and I was like, I don't like this at all.
No, I mean, okay, so
What's that? Is she stuck around?
8
for
of
the rest
9,
of the
not
show?
7 of 9.
Yeah, 8 of 9.
yeah, she's like, even though it was established that she can't drink, she's like some heavy drinker now. So okay,
And I wanted her to be 6 of 9.
There's all kinds of crap that they totally changed in her character, and I've not even seen that much of that show.
Well,
And
no,
I
it's
know that.
you have what Janeway's like whole thing at the end was that she was all regretful because 7 died, so that was like the ending of Voyager. And it's like you have a Borg cube, you have Hugh, and for whatever reason, Starfleet allowed 7 of 9 to just go be a ranger in the middle of nowhere and not, have her as one of the leaders of taking care of that Borg cube and getting everyone de-assimilated, and Janeway's not going to be a part of that project. Are you kidding me? Also, where's Chakotay? What happened to him?
yeah,
Oh, he's a man. Can't have that.
Yeah,
No.
but he's a Mexican Indian man, so he fits that diversity checkbox.
True, but I guess it wasn't enough.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the rumor was that Janeway was originally supposed to be the admiral that said sheer fucking hubris, and apparently scheduling conflicts prohibited that. And on top of that, too, you'd think for the Borg, I mean, if anything that Voyager did, it established that Janeway was essentially an expert on Borg by the end of that series. So why would she not be involved with Borg
Actually,
reclamation?
script. From what I heard, she actually filmed that, but
Really?
they shot it with what's his face, Riker.
Oh, so no, the original admiral was they reached out to Kate Mulgrew to do the original admiral scene with Patrick Stewart. but they got a scheduling conflict, so they hired another actress to do that. And then they shot the ending with that actress, and then they reshot it later with Jonathan Frakes up at Pinewood Studio Toronto to redo the ending. So like you have that one character that basically their lines are so indistinguishable to a character that any 3 actors could have played it, and to prove it they did. They just didn't have the first the original actor Kate Mulgrew to come in for that.
Right. I'm glad they didn't defile Janeway with that shit.
No, just wait.
Yeah. Just wait 5 minutes.
A Star Trek that allows cursing. They had a golden opportunity to have Tuvok show up and be like, "Have we found the mystery of the Porg cube? We ain't found shit."
Yeah.
That'd be great. Back to
that would have been awesome.
Yeah. But we can't have humor now.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
Yeah. If anything, he'd probably preface it with like Leonard Nimoy did at the end of Star Trek 6. Like, if I were human, my response would be, "We ain't found shit."
We ain't found shit.
Followed by, "If I were human."
Yeah.
Like,
that was one thing we never got
smart.
on Leonard Nimoy. It was one scene where he goes, "If I were human, my response would be, go fuck yourself."
It just says, "Go to hell."
A lot of colorful metaphors.
Right.
Hell, they are your whales.
Well, that's as far as it should go.
No, I know. Yeah. Well, and that's kind of where I backed Nicholas Meyer into a corner, because he couldn't. First of all, he was obviously still probably under an NDA, so he couldn't say much anyway. And then he was trying to avoid talking about any of that kind of stuff anyhow. But then I kind of backed him into a corner. I'm like, well, here's one thing. People are curious about how Discovery and stuff like that, is supposed to be only a few years before TOS, but yet they use, in other words, colorful metaphors like, average people do now. I said, and specifically when you wrote Star Trek 4, the Earth 1986 scenes, that's a big part of the plot, is that nobody talks like that anymore. I was like, didn't that, bother you, or did that come up at all? He's like, no, that's a very interesting question, and I don't have an answer, basically. But he's like, that's the best question you asked.
We ran out of crayons.
Yeah.
Well, in other words, here's the thing I've kind of figured out is like he had probably nothing to do with anything after the first drafts that he wrote. Once what's his face, Brian
Fuller was
the door. Yeah, he probably was too.
Right.
I think
kept his name to sell the show. Yeah.
I just think this is all of this crap that comes out, and it's not just the Star Trek, but Star Wars and everything else. It's just proof Hollywood needs like a new renaissance, needs some fresh blood, some new blood, some back to the.
That's part of it.
They do have the new blood. It's just really, really ignorant.
Bad blood.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's part of it. But the other part of it is you need some veterans who actually understand these properties, and that's where I think Cobra Kai shines. Is you got a couple guys who actually love the property. They've brought it back. They're bringing in new characters. They're bringing in new audiences who've never seen the Karate Kid before. They're doing everything that all these other properties were trying to do, and they're doing it in spades, but yet everything else is falling flat on its face instead of looking at that and going, that's how you do it. Because, I mean, that's what we've always said. Even going back to Ghostbusters, what did everybody say? We don't care that they're girls. What we wanted was a passing of the torch. You could be passing the torch to these girls, but we still want it to make, to be in the same universe. We want Ghostbusters to have happened. We don't want a remake.
But
Right.
if they wanted to do that, you don't get the guys who did like Bridesmaids. You don't, you don't get that guy.
That's the thing, and fortunately, I should say, not unfortunately, I was about to say, we have, Jason Reitman now, who's the son of Ivan Reitman, who's also,
Reitman, yeah.
He was on board, and he's got all the original cast back, sans Rick Moranis at this point that we know of. So the next movie has the potential to be that Cobra Kai for Ghostbusters, if it's done well. And again, you can't just mix those elements and expect it to work. I mean, look at
I watched the trailer to the upcoming Ghostbusters Stranger Things, and I didn't hate it.
All I know is that the supposed leak that was on Reddit or whatever better be fake, because it doesn't even sync up. So yeah.
I haven't looked up any of that up.
Well, we didn't even report it because we didn't want to give it any attention, because it's like we went through it, and I think Script was there when we went through it. We all just kind of concluded that there's no way this can be real. It doesn't even sync up with anything we've heard, anything anybody said. And yeah, it was just a really randomly dumb, like the basis of it launched off, according to this, was, because we're all assuming, and from what we've gathered from most interviews, that the kids that we see in the movie are actually the grandkids of Egon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's not the case, and according to this new Reddit leak,
Yeah.
the kids are actually grandkids of Rick Moranis' character and Gina, Jesus Christ,
Sigourney
Weaver's character from the first film. When they had sex, they had an illegitimate child, and Dana gave it up for adoption, and so it's actually the child of the keymaster and gatekeeper.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
Yeah, so and that sets up this whole thing, and it gets even worse from there. Like this person claims that Ghostbusters 2 never happened in this universe, and what happened was that all the stuff that happened in Ghostbusters 2 was actually not a fever dream, but like it happened in an alternate dimension, and that actually all the Ghostbusters died at the end of Ghostbusters, and everything got screwed up in the space-time continuum like Egon said it would. So like all the Ghostbusters actually don't remember the past. Kind of it gets to the point where it sounds so ridiculous that you're like, there's no fucking way this could be the movie. There's no way.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Well,
I don't even
apparently
want to think about the keymaster and
child.
the gatekeeper having sex.
She gave up the child to adoption, and he ended up with a foster family in Hawkins, Indiana. That was a meta joke from Stranger Things again. I'm gonna sit in the corner now.
No, but I totally get you. I got a little bit of the Stranger Things vibe from it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean that's fine. I love Stranger Things. It's pretty good, but I hope that leak isn't true.
Undoomed asked me yesterday, because he was on my show for a little bit. I was celebrating my 4th year on YouTube. And
congratulations!
Thank you,
Awesome.
thank you. I actually suck. But he asked me, "Did you watch Wonder Woman 1984?" And I just laughed. Honestly, just laughed and then told him, "Fuck no."
Yeah.
Did you watch Wonder Woman 84, or did it really watch us? That's the question.
Yeah. Holy shit, that was bad.
Us getting taken for a ride.
Did you guys see it?
Oh God! Unfortunately, I wasted 2.5 hours of my
Me
life.
too. Me too.
I have not.
Yeah, you didn't. You didn't miss anything.
Did not miss anything.
Yeah. Holy! I have not seen such a bad movie in a long time.
I thought the font they used for the end credits was really good.
Yeah. I thought for sure for the first first there was a 20-minute intro that didn't even matter. Like, okay, fuck that, forget about that. Now we get to the real intro, because we got to have 2 intros for some reason. 20 minutes in, we have a new intro where they introduce Wonder Woman again, and at that point, when that happened, I really thought this is a parody version. Or are they going to start having sex? Is this a porn version? What the fuck's going on?
No. Axel Braun is much
in this. If this is going to be
Axel Braun actually has appreciation.
Yeah, I was going to say Axel Braun does a much better job than this. No, like
I can't wait till he does Power Girl.
I've had legitimate debates with people on which is worse, Superman 4 or Wonder Woman 84.
84.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then people actually it's like people don't have to sit there and actually have to think about it for a minute. It's like,
no, you got Gene Hackman, and he also does the voice for Nuclear Man. Boom, that's a win, automatic.
But and you also have to with those films, they had a reason for it, and it was that it was for like kids, back then. It wasn't, superhero movies weren't like
not just that
serious thing, right?
Not just that, Golden Globus took half of the budget and put it into their pockets. So.
Yeah, exactly. There's things like that happen too, but at the same time, back then nobody was like, this is an Oscar film. Like, no, they're just like, it's a guy in tights. Just do it. The kids will love it,
Right.
But nowadays, it's like, now they're taking it very serious. Superhero franchises are huge,
Of course.
And then you put out schlock like this, and you're like, oh God, we get it. You don't like Trump. Move on. Like, it just gets annoying and you end up getting burnt out on it. I'm not the only person who has superhero.
Well, you know where the
disenfranchisement,
the source of superhero fatigue isn't really the superhero itself. It's the fact that they don't put a thematic story in those superhero films as well. Like, you can take a look at the first Superman film, and Dick Donner has gone on record saying the first Superman film is a love story. Just happens to have a guy in a cape who flies.
Right.
But at its heart, it's a love story, and that's why it's easy to watch, and you can kind of skirt past the whole flying around the world and back time travel thing.
And it had one of the greatest lines in movie history.
It's got lots of great lines in it.
Oh, which one is that?
I was going to say there's a lot of them. Yeah.
Kneel before Zod.
That's part 2, yeah.
So there's Kneel before Zod. That's Clark Knight.
I love that line. But then the best line in the first one is, "You've got me. Who's got you?"
Of course, yeah.
That's a great scene, man.
And I like Pink very much, Lois.
Was it the first one where he was like, what did he say? He said something like shucks or
Golly.
something like that.
Golly.
Yeah, golly.
Swell. Really swell. And when those
Yeah, it was swell. Yeah.
Wow.
And she's like, people don't really say that in the big city.
Well, he is an alien, right?
Right.
He's an alien
he's
who's been
from
living in the
Kansas.
North Pole for 12 years, learning about his species, and comes back to society still thinking it's 1964.
This is my fortress of solitude, except Santa Claus is next door, and he's really fucking loud sometimes.
Yeah.
Rudolph shitting on my yard.
Those elves, they go crazy, man.
Yeah.
Always making toys with the noise.
Increased the noise lately since my fortress has blocked out the normal sunlight that reaches the Santa's village.
Like, gee, Lois, I'm sorry. All I had to watch for 15 years was Clark Gable movies. That's all Dad put in the computer.
Yeah.
Do you listen to Perry Como? Fucking hell.
Like, why would you buy 2 credit cards, $10, a hairbrush, and a lipstick? It's like, that's my purse. Oh, well, lucky guess.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
all that clever little banter there. That's
You're not even getting to the best lines, like from Lex Luthor. Those cat-like reflexes.
He's
read War and Peace and think of it as nothing more than a simple novel. Others could read the instructions of a chewing gum wrapper and unlock the secrets to the universe.
Ingredients, yeah.
He's given Lois a tour of the Fortress of Solitude, and that over there is my wheelchair that moves with just my breath. And
My father always said to me, "Son, get out before that."
Man, you watched that movie way too much.
Enough is never enough.
yeah,
Otisburg.
and
Holy shit.
there's something kind of charming about the time frame that those movies were made. Not just the Donner films, but like go back and watch like The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren and
right.
like the early attempts at Marvel films and stuff. And it's like,
Well, even the original Batman with, or Tim Burton Batman, I should say.
yeah.
I mean, even as serious as that movie takes it still has a lot of tongue-in-cheek, fun moments in
Because
it.
it's Burton, right?
Yeah.
And he does suburban Gothic so well.
Right.
And in his stylized way, he kind of recreated the idea of kind of the dark anti-hero comic book character. Because before that, Batman was what? Adam West Batman, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It was all him and smack and
Yeah, he made it
you know.
viable.
Right. He made it like semi-realistic while still keeping the kind of charm that Burton has always been able to do in most of his movies. He's had some duds, but
Well, I mean, he goes up and down, and he's certainly been going down lately. But back then, he was, at his peak.
Well, he had something to prove. That's the point. Like, you get really creative when you have something to prove.
I thought aliens that abducted Michael Jackson sometime in the late 80s, early 90s, and replaced him with a replica did the same thing to Tim Burton sometime in the early 2000s. Right about the time that he made Planet of the Apes. And same thing, a replica, but it's not quite him.
I didn't even hate Planet of the Apes as much as I did his Alice in Wonderland movies.
No, but that's just it. From that moment on, everything he did, and 90% of it is remakes.
Yeah.
The only movie he has made in that time period that was any damn good was Big Fish or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Daffodils.
Yeah, he did the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory too.
And honestly, if you want to go back, Sleepy Hollow's good.
Yeah,
Everything
that was
since Sleepy Hollow has been a remake, basically.
Right. And I loved Sleepy Hollow, and that's when he kind of was like, "Yeah, I worked with Johnny Depp on Edward Scissorhands, but this is where he's like, he's becoming my number one guy, number one guy."
Yeah, but those guys need to have a divorce or a break or something.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that'll never happen. He got rid of Helena Bonham Carter way before he got rid of her. rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Burton movies, especially the older ones, Nightmare Before Christmas. And,
all of his
Corpse
older
Bride. His animations are good and stuff, but he's a very creative person, but he's also can sometimes be kind of a one-trick pony.
Yeah, exactly. I got some super chats here. Dragon in the West says, the Orville is fantastic. It balances humor and philosophical exploration. Yeah, that is. I'd say that's true.
I think we can all agree with that. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Snowdub Music and Entertainment says, Undo, can I get a follow back on Twit? Sure. Just remind me on Twitter so I remember when I get back there. And then Barbie Loose Fingered send a pound, I guess. So thanks for that. All right.
Yeah. Your super chats really bring up some points, and people in the chat. I don't like to ignore the people in the chat. So I wanted to shout out somebody earlier talked about being in Mildenhall. Who was that? It was talking about being in Mildenhall when they were filming a James Bond movie. And he was never a fan of Pierce Bronson. And I'm trying to find it because it was a minute ago. But Mildenhall was where I was stationed in England for 5 years. And isn't there some new news about Bond? Aren't they like selling the whole franchise because of the failures of James Bond?
Is there any news on that thing?
I do know somebody who knows a thing or two.
Okay, but is there anything that you can talk about?
Yeah, basically, after they originally wanted to sell the movie for $600 million, or actually they wanted more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But their bottom line asking price seemed to be 600. And at that point, Apple and Netflix and everybody else walked away from the table. And then I was told through my source that HBO Max came back to the table and were interested in it, and possibly Apple were interested in it. But the offers they were giving were so low that they wouldn't take them, because Bond is a situation where MGM is desperate to get this thing, anything done with it, because their entire studio is kind of banking on this movie, and it's gaining $1 million in interest every month it's not released.
Right.
That they're not paying back on the loans. So that's kind of where MGM's in a rough spot. Universal, they don't care as long as they get their money, because all they have is foreign distribution. And then you have the Broccoli Company and Eon, which actually owns the rights to the franchise and the character.
Mm-hmm.
And MGM actually only has distribution in the U.S. on the franchise. But see, now at the same time, of course, there's that rumor going around that MGM is kind of up for sale. And basically, it's at this point, I'm wondering if some of these companies aren't thinking about maybe just buying the cow instead of just a little bit of milk.
Mm-hmm.
But with it only comes possibly the distribution rights, and I'm not even 100% sure on that. But basically, so everything kind of was at a stalemate before the holiday season, and Apple was reportedly supposed to be coming back to the table. But then now that they pushed the movie off a few months, that tells me that Apple probably walked away.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money, even for Apple.
Yeah, just for one movie, that's a lot of money. And then basically, my same source saw the film and said, "Expect the worst, folks."
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of saw that coming because I don't think the Bond franchise has been very popular lately.
Actually, the last two have been as far as without inflation, have been the two highest grossing ones, I believe.
Okay.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They
started strong with Casino Royale and then dropped the ball.
Yeah, I mean, what was the last one before this one? Was it Spectre? That one I just felt was like a big meh. Right? I was just not into it at all.
Yeah, Henry Cavill will be a good Bond.
I keep hearing that. That's what everybody keeps saying.
Why not? Why
No,
not?
if they're smart, they should get him.
He is British, yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to include.
Just throw that out there, huh?
Wanted to, for no particular reason and having nothing to do with anybody else on this stream. I just wanted to put that.
But they'll try and go the opposite direction. They'll get Daniel Radcliffe as Bond.
Oh God, no!
Good God.
5'4" Bond.
Oh no!
He's shorter than Tom Cruise, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
But I also know, like, Daniel Radcliffe's like a sweet guy. I watch these. Sometimes I come across these videos of him just like meeting people in real life, and he's just as shy as the fans.
Yeah.
That want to meet him. Like he'll just be like, "Hey, hi, hey, how's it going? Hey."
He usually says,
Hi.
"Call me Dan. Just call me Dan."
Just call me Dan. You know, so I'm not making fun of him in any kind of mean way. It's all in good fun because I think he is a sweet man. And he's done some interesting stuff outside of Harry Potter. He's trying to break that that typecast, you know, a little bit. He did this one
he
movie.
played a corpse excellently in that weird movie.
Yeah. That one movie, the Swiss
First
Army
Aid Man, I think it was, or something. Or
Swiss
Swiss Army Man.
No, Swiss Army Man. I tried watching it, but
yeah. It was interesting. At least he's trying new things. He did this one movie called Horns.
Yeah.
Oh, that one was weird.
Yeah, and where he was like slowly growing these devil horns, and everybody thought he like raped and murdered his girlfriend when it was somebody else, and he was trying to solve the mystery.
That reminds me of that clown movie where some guy turns into a clown for real.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah,
right. That was weird.
Oh shit!
I can't. Yeah, that one's. I know what you're talking about, but the name is escaping me.
It was so weird. It was kind of weird in a good way, though.
Yeah, it was one of those really weird, bad, good movies kind of thing. Like it's so bad it's good, but kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of schlock.
He just wakes up and he's got a clown face and he can't wash it off, and he just gets worse and worse.
It's like a disease taking over his body. Yeah, I know the movie you're talking about, and I can't think of it either. Oh shoot!
One of my.
Are we sure it wasn't just called Clown?
It might have been.
Yeah, just.
Oh, I don't know.
I can Google it.
It was weird. But interestingly weird. Yeah.
Turns into a fish. That's the first thing Google popped up. I was like, movie where a guy turns and then it tried to.
You know what they're looking for? They're looking for Incredible Mr. Limpet.
Yeah, that's Incredible Mr. Limpet. Yeah, exactly.
Because I remember bringing that up on a podcast one time, and everybody was like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about." And then as soon as I showed everybody a picture, like, "Oh, I've seen that movie," because it's the one with Don Knotts in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's an animated fish.
I haven't seen that.
It was on TBS like every 10 minutes when I was a kid.
There's one called the Just Clown from 2014.
That might be
it.
Little boy's birthday party gets ruined when his entertainment clown cancels, so his father finds a clown suit and becomes the new entertainment, but then he starts turning into a demon clown slowly.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, so a loving father becomes a savage killer.
If it's like the guy who wrote that sort of synopsis, try to spice it up, it might be that movie.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't remember all that stuff about demons and shit, but obviously there was something like
he's
that.
like a curse or something like that comes over him. Yeah, I know that.
Right. I'm not. There's so many clown movies. It's surprising, actually.
Oh God, there's tons.
Its own genre.
Yeah, it is.
Midnight, Killjoy.
Well, why do you think it was so popular, man?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I like those little hidden gems, and I've always wanted to talk about hidden gem movies that a lot of people kind of know but don't know, or they've flown under the radar. They didn't do well in box office, but they've gained a kind of a cult status. And there's quite a few of them popping up on Amazon Prime that surprises me. And the one I saw the other day that I remember watching as a young kid was Wilder Napalm. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It had Dennis Quaid in it. And it was about two brothers who had pyrokinesis.
Okay.
And when they were young, they were playing around in the woods, catching things on fire with their mind, and they accidentally kill like a hobo who's asleep in an old wood shed. They can point their fingers like guns and go poo, and it would cause explosions. And they were just shooting this old shed, thinking it was empty, but they accidentally killing the man. So as they grow up, one of the brothers decides never to use his power ever again. The other brother, Dennis Quaid, decides to join the circus and become like a circus act with his fire, his pyrokinesis.
Mhm.
And they end up coming to the small town and fighting over a girl. And it's an insane Dennis Quaid movie. It's one of those like weird, nobody ever really heard about it fucking Dennis Quaid movies from like 1989 or something, or 92 or something like
93,
that.
I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's the movie where, the whole pyrotechnic stuff has nothing to do with the actual story itself.
Yeah, it's more about a story of two brothers kind of coming to terms with their different, different personalities and stuff. The whole idea of them having pyrokinesis is almost secondary, but it's called Wilder Napalm, and it's one of those just little weird movies that I remember as a kid. It's on a list of weird movies. I have a whole list of like what I call Hollywood gems, and it's hidden gems, and it's like fucking up there with like Brain Donors and Oscar and movies like that a lot of people have forgotten about, that have big name actors
and with two heads.
yeah, shit like that, man.
Right. So let me ask you this, everyone. What is your all-time favorite movie?
Silence of the Lambs.
Oh wow,
Silence of the Lambs, huh?
It's a great film.
That's
My
your
general-
every even above Star Wars.
No, so I kind of do things based on categories. Star Wars is like its own universe.
Mm-hmm.
So out of Star Wars, it's Empire Strikes Back. But usually when people say my favorite movie, they always want me to not include Star Wars or like Star Trek or nerdy stuff. So that's like my normie answer.
Right, but if that's your favorite movie above Star Wars, that's fine. I'm just curious.
Yeah, Can I ask you something? I know we haven't met. We never actually properly introduced. Script Doctor and Tom knows me, but Star Wars girl, I'm Magog.
I'm Anna. Nice to
Anna, I could just call you Anna then. Okay, I think I follow you on Twitter. I'm not sure. I follow a lot of the nerd culture on Twitter, so if I missed you, I will follow you after this. But did you like Mads Mikkelsen in the Lecter show?
I did not, and that's because I have read the books. And okay, so the thing with that show, it's weird. So just aesthetically, watching it made me feel claustrophobic.
Okay.
It's got to have something to do with the lights and the sets, but it looked very cheaply made. And then the way that the sets were, just, I don't know, I felt like I was in a box. But also they made Will way too emotional and like too whiny.
Right.
And so that show, I mean, it was recommended to me so much, and then I watched it and I was just sorely disappointed.
Right. I mean, it seems to have a cult following on Twitter, but I thought it was very repetitive.
Yes, that
I
too.
agree with that as a show as for the show as a whole, but I'm specifically talking about Mads Mikkelsen, because it's hard to pull off Lecter, right?
It is. I think with what he was working with, he did an okay job, but he's not Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
And even I wanted him to be a little bit more arrogant. And the way that Mads acts, he's very subtle.
Yeah.
And while Hannibal Lecter is subtle, that part of being a sociopath is that arrogance. And so he just lacked that. Like, even when you watch Red Dragon, and Anthony Hopkins is a little bit older in that, but the dinner scene where, it's like, oh, I just made what I had in the fridge, and where he's entertaining those guests, they really try to incorporate Hannibal Lecter and like his cooking and whatnot. But even then, it just, I mean, that's a really tough act to follow. So
have you ever seen that movie that came out before that?
Manhunter?
Manhunter, yeah.
Manhunter.
Brian Cox was Lecter. Yeah, Brian Cox
Right,
was Lecter
exactly.
first.
And
differently, but
and what's his face from
CSI
CSI? Yeah.
I keep forgetting his name.
He's the Will character. What the hell is his name? William something. William.
It's
whatever, doesn't matter. But the CSI main character. That one was.
I have seen it.
Michael Mann made it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And he didn't want to call it Red Dragon because it was the 80s and there were so many movies coming out about Kung Fu. He didn't want people to think it was
I
Kung
think,
Fu.
it came out real close to
He didn't
like
want
Return of the Dragon and
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, Enter the Dragon.
He didn't
blah,
want
blah, blah.
people to think it was a Kung Fu movie, so he changed it to Manhunter.
Right. That was a bad move.
Right?
Manhunter. But then, didn't they make a TV series that was called that as well? Like recently, like 2 years ago.
There's
No,
Mindhunter.
Mindhunter.
Mindhunter was it's a serial killer kind of based on reality.
Yeah,
They go
that's
around
what I'm thinking
interviewing
of.
people like, they go around, interviewing like Kemper and, people like that. It's kind of kind of the beginning of the Bureau of,
that one was pretty good. I like that one.
Yeah, their psychology team or whatever. But yeah, that's good stuff. But I didn't want to I didn't mean to interrupt everybody else answering their question. Undoomed asked if
exactly
favorite movies.
favorite movie. Tom.
Well, it used to be Empire Strikes Back, but I've gotten to the point where I'm just kind of sick of Star Wars. So like, usually my go-to answer is Jaws anymore.
Mhm.
It's always been that movie.
It's
My
one of
go-to.
my favorite films of all time. I probably watch it at least once a year. I watched it as a kid, and just that was my reason for getting into horror. I loved horror movies after Jaws,
Yeah.
and even though Jaws kind of floats in that middle ground because it's more of a thriller, isn't it? Because it's not really a monster per se. It's just
I'm sure it was supposed to be though. But
Yeah,
they
it is
just
fine, but there's no,
they couldn't afford it or get the thing to work properly, so they did what they
Shark
could.
would work.
Yeah.
but that's not what I'm talking about. There's no like supernatural elements. It's just a big shark, right?
Yeah.
But I loved watching the VHS double tape that had the behind the scenes and watching Spielberg talk about that fucking shark just kept breaking down every fucking day. And I loved all of it. That's when I really fell in love with the making of films. Yeah,
that was also one of my favorite stories in that one. He's like, because they had the shark on a track underneath, and it happened to be right underneath the boat for the one shot, and the shark ended up catching the boat and ripped a hole in it, and the boat was going down, and so they're like, "Get the actors off the boat! Get the actors off the boat!" And then so the sound guy's up there with the nagger going, "Fuck the actors! What about the sound department?"
Yeah. And that was all filmed in Martha's Vineyard, right?
Yeah.
And so they tested the shark in a swimming pool, and it worked fine, but they had no idea that the salt water would affect the mechanics.
First of all, the buoyancy, because it kept floating.
Right. In salt you float, right?
And then then once they actually started getting it to work, then the gears would all
they start to rust and
salt.
And shit. Yeah, because the salt.
And then the son of a bitch would tip over on them, so they'd have to get a crane out there to pick it up because it would be laying on the bottom of the fucking floor of it tipped over on its side. And they had 3 of them actually, and they had left to right or right to left, and then one that was just like the front end of the shark. And then they had, so it was like, there was actually a couple of them, but Bruce
that wasn't the first horror movie I watched, but that was the first movie I actually became like just fascinated with the making of film, and really loved reading the book about the making of the film and reading the actual novel and getting really into how Spielberg was able to pull it off. Because as a kid watching it for the first time, even though the movie is older than me.
Oh yeah, because I remember getting Gottlieb's the Jaws log, which was almost like required reading for any Jaws fan at that.
Right. But I remember watching it as a kid and still, like, even though there were better movies out by then, because I was born in 85, that movie came out before, I was still, like, blown away by that shark. It scared the shit out of me.
I'm still terrified. I can't go in a pool by myself. I start hearing the music and I freak out. That movie scarred me for life. I hate sharks. I hate the water.
Oh, let's be real. John Williams made that shark work.
Oh,
yeah. Stop. I'm the biggest scaredy cat.
You're on land. You're safe. This is not shark.
Dude, I can't even sleep with my arm hanging off the bed because I just have this terrible feeling that a shark's going to jump out of my floor and like bite my arm off.
Oh my God.
Well,
It's like
only
the
if you're
most
living over top of an
unreasonable
That really scarred you.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
My cousin was similar way. He couldn't go to you couldn't use the toilet because he was afraid the shark would come out of that.
Just watch Jaws 4. That didn't scare anybody. You'll get over it real quick.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. So Script Doctor, what's your favorite?
It's a neck and neck tie between Young Frankenstein and Who
Nice.
Framed Roger Rabbit.
Ooh,
I love those films.
Interesting
those
choices.
Young Frankenstein, written by Gene Wilder because his agent represented him, Peter Boyle, and another guy, and Mel Brooks just came in to help him like polish up the script a little bit here and there. But that's mostly Gene Wilder, and it's like one of the best comedies of the 20th century.
Yeah, Madeline Kahn
Right.
was in it, and
So what was it you liked about it so much?
It's a great example of how to do not just a parody but a continuation on a property.
Mm-hmm.
right.
And it's all kind of matter of fact. It has great cause and effect, great character arc, good wordplay. It really makes fun of all the potential of what the parody is, because it's one of the more direct parodies, because then you have a specific parody such as like Robin Hood Men in Tights or
Right.
Dracula Dead and Loving It to stay in the Mel Brooks sport of things. But then you also have the genre parody, which would be like Spaceballs,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
or like Airplane is also a direct parody, or Top Secret. Sorry, Top Secret's more of a genre parody as well.
Right.
And it's just a great learning experience, because the other part too is like I have the original script that Gene Wilder wrote, and to read it, everything that is on the page without triggering your own memory translates to what's on the screen. Like you listen, you read the block of prose that's describing Gene Wilder using the corpse's hand as his own hand as he's talking to the constable on the street, with Igor standing behind, like trying to help him manipulate it. And every single beat and pacing is exactly as it should be on the page, and it still makes you laugh. And it's really hard to get that, to convey that in text when you're doing a comedy script, because most of the times, especially nowadays over the last like 20 years or so, when you're writing a comedy script and you're in the room pitching it, you kind of have to do a little physicality to act it out, because a lot of the time it's really hard to articulate the exact pacing needed
Mm-hmm.
to land the gag on the physical side of things. But like the verbal stuff is so much easier.
Right.
But you've got the whole funny little joke like walk this way, and then Igor hands him the cane and he just goes down the steps the exact same way. And then you have werewolf, and it's like, okay, fun on words.
Or every time they say what's her face?
Bruca.
Yeah,
And
Frau
the horses
Bruca, the
start-
horse's name.
And you have no clue what the heck it relates to, but there's a story there that you'll never learn.
There is actually, because isn't that the name of a glue factory or some shit like that in Germany or something like that? I thought Mel Brooks said that in the
really?
commentary.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the name of the glue factory.
Not
They
100%
used to
sure.
make glue out of a horse's hooves.
Yeah, because like I think it's like the name of a glue factory in like
Yeah,
Germany.
so
or
every
some
time they
shit.
say
Yeah.
her name, the horse freaks out. Because
Yeah.
they think it's going to the glue factory.
Yeah, check out the commentary. I think Mel Brooks says something about that.
Mel Brooks says that only as a joke, but when you look at the translation and you find out what the name of that glue company is, it's not Bruca.
Right.
Right.
It's
Yeah, it's just his own little joke there. But I also like the part where like Gene Wilder's character brings down his assistant, and Igor knocks on the door and he goes, "Wow, what knockers?" And she's like, "Oh, thank you."
it's all perfectly timed.
Assassin
love
says
Napalm.
that Bluca is glue in Germany.
Yeah, Bluca is glue in German. Yeah. From Bluca, and it free. But
Right.
I lose my shit every time Frau Bluca goes Ovaltine.
Well, then you'll have like
He's
this brilliant
offered-
scene with Madeline Kahn, right, who plays the very chaste fiance,
Yeah.
and she's kidnapped by the monster, and then the monster just unzips his fly. Like we don't see it, we just hear it, and instead of like freaking out, she just goes woof, and he like gets on top of her, and then she starts singing an opera, and now it's an opera singer.
Opera
and it's-
singer, yeah.
No, and then the ending where she's like, "Oh, he got your beautiful brain. What did you get from him?"
And then she starts singing.
Yeah, I love the Gene Hackman.
I was just gonna say, where are you going?
I was going to make espresso.
lights his thumb on fire. He's super laughing.
Oh, that's such a great movie.
That's one of the best. And I have a fondness for Mel Brooks. I try to.
Oh yeah. I don't.
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
I share a birthday with him, June 28th.
I can't stand him, if you can tell.
Right. But yeah, when I'm doing like my Magog skits and stuff, I try to keep in mind the stuff that inspired me growing up, like Mel Brooks and stuff. And I hope one day I can reach the filmmaking prowess to be honored amongst those hallowed names in comedy one day.
Right.
But you bring up one that's hard to beat. I mean, fucking Young Frankenstein's got to be.
Well, I knew about Young Frankenstein, but I didn't know you were that big of a fan of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I knew you liked it, but now we got to have a podcast.
Yeah. Well, we got to hear what you liked about that one.
Because he knows that's one of my favorites too. But yeah,
Actually, you and I had like a 3-hour conversation about Who Framed Roger
oh,
Rabbit.
I'm sure, but I'll talk about it all day long. So like,
I feel
yeah,
bad.
well,
I
love
kind
Who
of don't
Framed-
like that movie.
No,
No.
is it the animation or just the weird, the frustration?
You know, there's something about it that every time I watch it or I sit down to watch it, I just get bored.
Right.
I don't know. I
It's
mean,
the
maybe
noir style filmmaking can be slow paced a little bit, but
I don't know. I kind of agree with you. It's not that it's slow. It's just that I have a hard time getting into it. It constantly breaks the illusion. Like you're supposed to be able to suspend your disbelief, but you can never do that with that movie. That would be my critique.
interesting. You,
That's a fair one because I've never heard that critique before, but that's a new one. Yeah,
I guess
I
guess I never
can't-
thought of it that way. So yeah,
I can't believe I'm friends with people who are so wrong.
Well,
I
I'll
wasn't
try
gonna go to
and
that
look
extreme.
again, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've seen that movie so many times, and I still can't tell you what the heck happens in it. Like that's
Well, there
how
is-
it's thrown out.
there is
Right.
a slow spot that Zemeckis probably could have reworked or re-edited in some way. Like right after Roger freaks out about seeing the pictures, there's a little bit there with Eddie, and just before Eddie, in between there's also the scene where you see Roger all upset. So there is this big drag of Roger's upset. We get to see Eddie just kind of be Eddie for like 2-3 minutes, and no real dialogue, no real story, and then Roger shows up again. That's when the movie starts picking up again. So like, yeah, there's there is that little moment where I can see somebody getting kind of like, what's
I don't
happening?
even remember that part. I remember
Well, and
when
that's within like
Jessica
the
gets
first 20 minutes.
introduced. I remember when he thinks she's cheating on him, and then I remember the end with the plot twist.
That's what I'm figuring. Yeah, because
That's
right
all
after
I
that,
remember about
slows
this
down.
movie.
And that's
Right.
probably where you fell asleep, is where it slows down just a little
Oh,
bit.
I never fell asleep. It's like I zone out or
Going out of it or whatever. Because that's what I'm saying. Is like, because that's the slow part there. Once you get past that hump, then the movie takes off again. Because the first part is just kind of setting up the world a little bit, setting up that
Eddie's
Eddie's.
got
I
up
don't
money
remember
and
that.
paid back his girlfriend, and
Yeah, I don't remember much either. Like, I know that basically what it looks like in my head, but I don't remember anything about the story.
See, I can
Yeah.
remember at the time when it came out, if you were somebody who was of a certain age, you probably, like my dad didn't really care for that movie, but that was just because it was too slapdash for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he watched it now, he probably would be like, oh God, I don't remember this movie being this good or whatever, because at that time it was just too manic and crazy for him. But compared to some of the shit that's out now, I bet you if you watched it, you'd probably feel tame. Like, because
Right.
it isn't nearly as slapdash as a lot of the Nickelodeon style cartoons are nowadays, and any of the Pixar kind of animation, Disney animation anymore is a lot more obnoxious and in your face. But that was the thing, is they were trying to give you a Disney movie with a Looney Tunes kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So like the whole movie is kind of off its rocker in a weird way, and that's where you just kind of like, I can't buy into this shit.
But the
Yeah,
reason
yeah.
I think Roger Rabbit is so good is because it came out at a time where it was almost like a fond farewell to the cartoons of old. It was saying thank you for all the entertainment.
But at the
Bugs
same
Bunny
time, it was
and-
introducing new technology.
Yeah, that
Yep.
too. But rotoscoping been around since. I mean, God, there's movies of like Frank
Oh, the
Sinatra
Sure.
dancing with Bugs Bunny on film.
Sure.
But it was done in a really, really well done way.
Well, even what's its name? Hello Gertie or the
Hello Kitty?
dinosaur. No, not Hello Kitty. No, the one of the first animations when he draws like a dinosaur and the dinosaur comes up and he talks to it. Oh my gosh, what is this called? Let me see if I can find it. You guys have never seen this? Where
I think I know what you're talking about. I just can't think of what it's called.
let me see. So it's a dinosaur. So she's obviously animated, and she comes up, and he talks to her. And she shakes her head. He tells her to stand on one foot. It's like an elephant trip, but with animation.
Yeah.
When is this from?
So I think the 20s.
Oh, okay.
It was before Snow White.
Well, mixing like animation with like live action had not been new.
No, but I think they probably used some digital stuff.
No, well, they did,
time.
but it wasn't like you would think. It was what they used. What Roger Rabbit was different as far as that. It was kind of like the last one of those kind of movies to really use mainly optical effects and hand-drawn animation, because then after that is when the computer really started coming in. They did use computer for the cameras, so they could do exact passes. So they could do, so they would do one take, and then the computer would record whatever movements the camera made. So then they would step back, they'd do one take without anybody in the scene, so they had a flat, completely nothing in there, and it would do the exact same moves, so that they weren't hindered by not being able to move the camera. Because that was one thing Zemeckis said. He goes, I want to be able to move the camera. Why can't animators do 3D animation? And one guy peeped up and he said, we can, we're just lazy. And that guy ended up becoming the head of his animation.
So this was,
I like you.
It was Winsor McCay, and it was in 1914.
Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah, that's
Gertie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some of the but like I said, like rotoscoping. Like you guys remember, like Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Mary Poppins had.
Sure, I just
Pete's
sort
Dragon,
of assumed that they had digital stuff there, but
the only other thing they did that was somewhat digital was, I believe, that all the highlights on the cartoon characters were done with a digital pass afterwards, but that's about as far as digital.
Yeah, right. Back then.
And what it did was it added just like instead, because they can animate shadows and doing certain things, but it was getting that realistic shadowing and getting the light reflection, because that's what Zemeckis wanted. He wanted them to have realistic shadows to blend in with the background. And then he wanted the light to actually refract off the characters like they were there. So this is the first time that you had been able to do something like that in animation that had never been done before.
And it was before it's, it was fantastic watching it. Like, it was amazing to look at. It wasn't like the rotoscoping of the past. No.
Yeah, because even Mary Poppins, even Pete's Dragon, all that kind of stuff, you're still stuck feeling like you're looking at two-dimensional things sitting in the world. And that was the thing is, they wanted to do a 3D feel, and that was what they added with the computer at that time. Because then after that, they started using it more for just a lot of different animation. Because there had been a few things that had used it for backgrounds. I think Great Mouse Detective had come out before that, and I think they used that for the Clock Tower and a few other backgrounds.
So there was a lot of 3D animation.
Yeah, there was a lot of things in there.
Beauty and the Beast ballroom was 3D. Stuff like that started to happen. Great Mouse Detective.
And I think Rescuers Down Under had used it as well.
But they were blending it. They were blending it seamlessly with traditional 2D.
Beauty and the Beast one wasn't very seamless.
Yeah, the Beauty and the Beast in my
that was clearly
aged very poorly.
Well, also Tarzan, him going through the trees, that was all 3D, and then they drew it through it.
It became more and more prominent throughout the 90s until Toy Story took over, and then it became a point where the traditional hand-drawn animation had almost completely gone out the window.
Do you know what the first fully 3D, actual 3D polygon animal on film was?
If it wasn't the dinosaur in Jurassic
humans
Park.
Are animals, right?
Nope, animal, not human. Animal. It was the 3D owl at the beginning of Labyrinth.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. Yep. You're right. And it blended into the live action one.
Yeah, and it blended, and it flew into her bedroom window and started flapping, and that's when it became like a real owl. They got an actual owl on set. But
speaking of my second favorite movie, and I have the giant statue that Sideshow made of him coming eventually.
Right.
I have a cup holder I got for Christmas. My sister got me a cup holder with the the David Bowie Goblin King on the cup holder.
Awesome.
I'm a huge Henson fan. I like puppets.
Me too.
Yeah, Magog. One day, my show will have puppets and things like that. So
You're gonna
that's my
turn into
goal.
Spenguli.
Oh,
That's the coolest shit. Yeah. Oh,
Gremlins.
yeah. Gremlins is a classic.
That's a classic.
Of course, I like the Ninja Turtle movie too, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to say we got a super chat here. If you like sharks, watch Ocean Ramsey vids on YouTube from 2A. So
Interesting.
that's something Anna's not going to watch.
No.
I'm a big fan of sharks. That one. I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a classic. You guys are probably not going to be surprised by this, given my character on YouTube and everything. But I'm a huge fan of high fantasy, and I'm going to go with Willow. It's my favorite.
Good movie.
Favorite film. I know that it's hard to pick a favorite film because I like to break down into genres as well, right? But Willow is just an all around like go to when I want a fantasy fix. It's one of my go to films, right?
Right.
And it's like Jaws. When I first saw it, I was like a kid, and I was glued to the screen. I was like, how did they get a two-headed dragon? How did they do it? And it was so well done because it is a.
That's also one of the first. Film. That's also one of the first CGI characters with that glass knight. Remember that?
Yeah. The glass knight. What are you talking about? Like,
it's like a knight that jumps out of the glass or something. Remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, young Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. ILM did that. That was the actual in live action on screen. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
If you're not counting.
No. But they had one of those effects in Willow, right?
That was morphing they did in Willow.
Yep. Yeah. No, they did morphing in Willow. I don't remember.
Didn't they have like a guy walking like he was made out of glass?
No, that was in the young Sherlock Holmes, which was around the same time.
Why would they have some magical shit in young Sherlock Holmes?
It's in there.
All right. Well, I must have mixed it up then. All right.
But yeah, that was also because whenever they talk about CGI animation, that's the first time they bring that up.
They always bring that up, and I always think it's Willow.
Yeah. No, yeah, and then they also forget that the Last Starfighter had CGI. They forget that Labyrinth had the owl as Magog.
Yeah, Last Starfighter had a lot of it.
Yeah.
And they also forget that Tron did have some, but most people think that Tron had more CGI in it than it actually did. Because they actually were trying to make they were trying to make practical effects look like CGI.
Yeah, it was a weird movie. But some of it was some of the actual
all the tanks and all that stuff, the light cycles, all that stuff was done in computer.
All that was done on a computer. It was really awesome. But yeah, Willow was the first movie that truly blew my socks off as far as practical effects as well as special effects. And it's a what is it? Ron Howard directed. It's a Lucas film.
Yeah, Clint actually told us about the Willow series when we were hanging out with him. He said,
how could you not
work on that next?
Yeah, it fucking has everything, man. It has a love story between Mad Mardigan and Sorsha. It has the fucking kind of fairy tale feel of the world. It has the epic adventure. It has the war and kind of, the bad guy who is a bad guy. Like Bav Morda is a bad bitch, man. Like, and General Kale with the skull face, and it's so. And there's little things in it that also add that bit of comedy. One of my favorite parts is when Mad Mardigan gets caught with the woman, and then the guards come in and they pull Sorsha pulls the veil off of him, and she's like, "You're no woman," and you hear, "Not a woman, not a woman," and he's like, "Nice." Lug ducks and Lug punches one of the guards, and it's just so perfect. It's just not a woman.
I thought one of the funniest parts of that was the fact that he's like, "Oh, this is my wife's cousin." Then he starts hitting on her.
Yeah, and he starts hitting on Mad Mardigan, and he's got apples.
Want to breed?
Yeah, want to breed? Tempting, but no. And I loved Kevin Pollak.
That he hit on a woman, or that there was a man with his wife.
Right, exactly. And then there's like Kevin Pollak as one of the brownies, and he gets hit with the fairy dust, falls in love with the cat.
Oh, that's so cute.
Falls into the barrel and he goes, "Beer!" It's Kevin Pollak, and in between, it's
We
like,
go this way. No. You are drunk. When you are drunk, you forget that I am in charge.
it had all the. To me, it had all the blending of like high fantasy, action, suspense, romance, and comedy elements all blended into one. All the things people praise like the Avengers for, right?
Mm-hmm.
It happened in Willow, right?
Right.
So I love it when he's pulled the sword out and he's swinging it, going, oh, and the whole army backs off. They're like, whoa, because the dragon's coming up behind him.
Right.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm a badass. And then he turns around and goes, oh. They all go running outside the castle together. And he's standing out there with the bad guys. And it all those little things just came together perfectly. It really is one of the best fantasy films of all time.
Yeah.
I tried to get the rights to Buck Rogers, and they said no. So I was like, all right, I'll make my own, and did Star Wars. And I was like, hey, I can do Lord of the Rings. They're like, nope. I'm like, all right, I'll do my own.
Yeah. And that's the only thing, like a lot of people say it's ripping off Lord of the Rings because it does involve like little people and stuff, but it's not even close to the same story.
What's funny is how much of it's actually leftover ideas from Star Wars. I don't know if Anna knows what I'm talking about, but script I'm sure does too. Yeah. Because like he wanted Star Wars to all be little people.
Yeah.
Like Luke and all them were he's obsessed with little people.
Right.
Hey,
I'm going to get some little people in this no matter what.
you know why? It's because George Lucas isn't the tallest guy, so it makes him feel taller.
That's right.
He's got a Napoleon complex, apparently. It's I like little people hitting little
Because we're
things.
cool.
Who remembers that fucking movie?
Right.
I told you my pop culture. I told Tom this last time. My pop culture references go real deep, and one of my favorite movies with little people is Time Bandits.
Right.
And when they show up in Napoleon's time and get up on stage and start beating the crap out of each other because they're messing up their lines and stuff, Napoleon's laughing his ass off. Played by Ian Holm, if I remember right.
Yes, I believe you're right.
Right.
Wasn't that the same director who did Baron von Munchausen? I think it was. It had the same stylized film look.
Terry Gilliam, or
I have to look that up, but
I was
Baron
gonna
von
say,
Munchausen
that
was.
was Terry Gilliam, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but I love all the high fantasy stuff. I mean, if I had to choose a second high fantasy from about that era, it'd be a tie between Legend and Dragon Slayer.
right.
Mostly Dragon Slayer because of the dragon in it, practical effects, Vermithrax pejorative is the name of the dragon, and it's one of the best dragons ever portrayed on film, period, ever.
All right.
But it is kind of funny to go back and watch Dragon Slayer knowing that that's Peter McNichol. And what he's known for is his comedy mostly. So you're watching Dragon Slayer and you just want him to go, hoi, hoi.
Right. So I guess it's my turn. And I would definitely say my favorite is Aliens.
I knew it. I knew he'd say. I figured it was Tron or Aliens. It was one of the two.
No, it's Aliens. That's obviously my favorite, and it's the movie that I've gotten the much pleasure out of. It's like chasing the dragon. You never get back to the first time you watched Aliens.
Right.
So that one just gave me the most pleasure, and so that's got to be the favorite, right? I've never seen a movie with such perfect pacing.
Game over. Game over.
Yeah, it's even though it's really got nothing to do with comedy. They even threw in that stuff in there, but the pacing, man. Just gets everything just gets worse, and then it gets worse, and then it gets worse. It's just game over, man.
Nuke it from orbit. That's the only way to be sure.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember that line, man. And it was amazing to watch Alien, and then Aliens. And
yeah, I mean, it's like except for Star Wars is kind of its own thing, but it was still. Because we're talking the 80s here, right? So Star Wars happened, then Empire happened, and Empire was better. But we thought that was an anomaly. But then Alien happened, and then Aliens happened. And that was also a movie where, like, holy shit, they made it better than the original. Jesus Christ.
Like Terminator and T2.
That's true, but that was much later. But that's a favorite, too, obviously.
And they're another James Cameron film because James
Yeah.
Cameron apparently is just a good damn filmmaker, you know.
Well, he was. I don't know what's going on now. He hasn't done anything for
I guess.
gazillion
He's
years.
working on Avatar for the last 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Well,
want
he's
honest-
working on 20 avatars, apparently.
Well, if you want to talk about pacing and James Cameron, like True Lies is the fastest, like almost 3-hour film you'll ever watch.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That movie's fantastic.
It flows through though. Like you watch it, then you're like, that was really that long? Like really? It was that long?
3 hours? Is that true?
I
There's
think
no
it was-
way.
I'll check
It's
right
really
there.
3 hours?
I don't know if it was 3 hours, but let me look it up.
I think it's
2
over
hours and
240.
24 minutes. Sorry, but
Oh,
yeah,
is it only
Sorry?
224? Okay.
Sorry, how much?
it's the normal edition is 2:24, 2 hours and 24 minutes.
Okay. Well, it's still long for that time period.
Yeah, long for 94.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was nonstop shit happening all the time.
Yeah.
I think I liked Aliens more than Alien because I mean, obviously there were budget constraints from the first movie. People were like, "Here's the money you get. We don't even know what you're making. Here's the money you get." Right. But
Right.
by the time Alien had become popular and there was a sequel, they had more money. But at the same time, there was a massive difference in the alien design, and it was so much scarier in Aliens, even though
Yeah,
it was more of an
yeah.
action film and not a.
But they had
Horror
tons of
film?
constraint too. If you haven't seen that documentary about it, you should watch that. Holy shit. James Cameron, he really had to. Oh man,
Pulling the hair out, yeah.
like at that point in time, I guess now he's just doing the George Lucas thing and having a latte and filming in his studio. But back then, he had to work his ass off to get that thing done. So it's kind of like you've seen the documentary on The Abyss, maybe how much he fucking had to work on that shit, and it was the same thing with Aliens. It was a disaster project that just kept on fucking up everything all the time.
Yep.
So watch that documentary as well.
I haven't seen the documentary, but I'd be interested in seeing it.
Yeah, see that. I think you could probably find it on YouTube. And we got a super chat from 2A saying, best movie is Morons from Outer Space. Okay. I
Take your word for it.
don't think I've seen that.
I liked Spaced Invaders with the little alien that sounded like Jack Nicholson. I liked the Jack Nicholson alien who was like,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
cop was like, "We are being visited by some sort of intelligent life," and he's like, "Intelligence, that'll throw him off the trail."
Right,
You know?
right.
That's a good one.
Didn't that
Brought out
have
a special edition of that.
didn't Spaced Invaders have God, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but didn't it have Ernest in it? The guy
No,
who played Ernest, right? That was him.
no,
I could have sworn it did.
no.
Who was it that played Ernest?
That was Jim Varney who played Ernest.
Yeah, Jim Varney. Let me look that up. I could have sworn he was in. He was the guy who turned the tractor into the giant robot. He was the gas station attendant that they took over his brain.
No.
Are you sure? Let me look that up. I'm going to.
I'm 100% sure. I have 2 copies of that movie, or 3 actually.
Oh,
I
I
think.
could have sworn that was him.
Right.
Man,
I've got
Well,
the old
Eddie-
DVD, the Blu-ray, and the new Blu-ray. Yeah.
when was Spaced Invaders?
Yeah, I
It
have no
had to be in
idea.
the 80s, right? Or maybe 90.
92, 3, somewhere in
Yeah.
there.
I thought it was 1990.
It might be
Wow.
90.
Yeah.
Because the girl from Jurassic Park's in it, and she's a little younger in that than she is in Jurassic Park. So yeah,
That's
it's probably
right. That's right. That is her. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Man, I haven't seen that movie since I was like 15. I don't know why it popped in my head. See that fucking movie.
Yeah.
The
All right,
guy
so
who's-
hold on. I got to check here because I said I would keep it to around 2 hours, so we're pretty much past that. So I think we should start rounding it off.
All right.
And
Okay.
so I can get the video up there. I saw someone in chat asking, like, when's the video going to be uploaded? So that's probably a good thing. Anything you want to get off your chest?
It's a very good video. Go watch it, everyone.
Well, thank you for that. No, I was just thinking in general. Anything we should talk about before we go?
I just need a quick advice on a new mouse to buy.
Okay. Yeah. That'll be something I know about.
It's going to be shaped like a penis.
If it has 5 buttons that I can use all at once on the left and right hand side, I don't care.
Got so many buttons. It's got
So many buttons.
Get the one with R2D2 on it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's got so many buttons. It's not like the Clint mouse.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I got no videos yet, so
No.
I'm good.
Anything you guys want to shill?
If anybody hasn't checked out our Karate Kid Cobra Kai retrospective on the main channel, please do. If you're a fan, you'll enjoy it. There's no spoilers for the show, so there you go.
Yeah, please do that. And it's you search for Midnight's Edge in that case, not Tom.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Midnight's Edge, yes.
So go to YouTube Midnight's Edge, check that out and subscribe. Screw Doctor.
I do enjoy y'all's videos because they're long enough to listen to in the car while I'm driving to like the grocery store.
Right to the grocery store. Yeah, like 10 minutes.
But they're not like super long, so I don't, because I don't make much long trips these days because of the COVID.
Right.
So I like to listen to stuff in my car, and it's like I like listening to movies and things like movie reviews and things like that while I drive. So I really appreciate Midnight's Edge's content.
Yeah. Midnight's Edge is awesome. I always check out your videos to keep on top of what's going on.
Not to kiss your ass or anything. I'm just putting it out there.
No. It's really what I watch to just keep on top of what's going on with new movies coming out and all that. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not fangirling. You're not Clint Howard, okay? I'm not.
Right. But if you got your own channels or Script Doctor, you got anything you want to show?
Not yet. I'm screenwriting some stuff right now, so my videos are going to be slow, if not a little dead for maybe another week.
Right.
But you can want to check out some reviews of The Mandalorian and Star Trek Discovery and Batwoman and Picard, and you can go check out my channel. I make those terrible shows educational for the value of learning how to write better.
So are you talking your own channel or Midnight's
Yeah, that's
Edge,
my own channel.
And that's Script Doctor on YouTube as well.
Yeah, you type in my name, and I'm the first one up there now. That's awesome.
Great, right? So just making sure everyone can find it. And of course, that Star Wars girl, Anna. Everyone should go and check your stuff out. So please tell us in a couple of words what you do.
Oh, well, thank you. So my videos just happen to be a stream of conscience about what I feel about certain topics. Occasionally, I do more in-depth reviews and breakdowns. For instance, The High Republic just came out, so I did a dramatic reading of that wonderful comic. So if you want to see that is on there. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And then sometimes I do art videos. So that's all there.
I'm going to definitely check out those art videos. So impressed with that. Anyway, and that is, of course, That Star Wars Girl on YouTube.
Yep.
Yes. And Magog?
I am the only Magog on YouTube. If you look for Magog, you'll see my channel, Magog of Morscar, and I've shifted from politics to doing actual scripted comedy. I'm kind of learning filmmaking as I'm going, and I'm trying new things. And my last video was called Kettlehead, where Magog has a fight with an inanimate object and has to bury it in the woods. It is funny, and I actually twisted my ankle and sat in a fire ant hill farm on a fire ant hill.
You got to suffer for the art.
Yeah, to suffer for that video. So go watch it and enjoy it. I know that the pacing's a little slow because I'm still kind of learning proper filmmaking instead of YouTube filmmaking, but I'm learning, and I eventually want to build up enough support to build the village on my land and do a proper sitcom, a medieval parody sitcom with the world I've created. And so new videos are coming soon, lore videos about the 5,000 years of history I've written for Magog's World, and so on and so forth. And I can't wait to show you guys what I have planned for the future. So go and subscribe if you like that kind of stupid assholery.
Yeah, and I'm sure you will. And that is Magog of Morscar on YouTube.
Yeah, but if
obviously.
you just type in Magog, M-A-G-O-G, I am the only one, so you'll find it.
Right. Okay. So the biblical references don't show up.
Yeah,
No.
not much. No.
That's good. That's good. All right. So I'm just going to fix some stuff and take care of the social media posts and little stuff like that. Like probably be like half an hour, and then I'll premiere the video. And I will, of course, be with you in the chat. So I'll be hanging out with you guys during the video, so you can ask questions and hang out with me while the video is playing. And after that, I'll head off and upload the music to Patreon, Subscribestar, and the channel members, so you get the soundtrack. And then I'll probably go and hang out on my Discord server. So I guess I'll see you there. So yeah,
Right on.
Awesome. Well, congratulations and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Thank you very much, Star Wars Girl and Tom and Script Doctor and Magog for hanging out.
I didn't have a choice, really.
Yeah. All right. Let me see if I can actually find the end button here. There we go. All right. So take care, everyone. Go watch the video in like half an hour. And thank you very much for your donations. I appreciate it very much. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.